My mom said my wedding was just okay at my twins' wedding, and she still doesn't know she's no longer welcome in our home. I 27F got married in October 2024 to my now husband 28M, a military reservist. We had a small mountain wedding after surviving a long deployment, and it was everything we hoped for. Leading up to it, my mom 61F emotionally blew up on us crying, saying we didn't include her, and even told my husband he ruined our relationship. She apologized to me, but never to him like she promised. Still, we let her come. She even brought her sister not invited and I didn't have the energy to say no. Fast forward to my twin sister's destination wedding this spring. I was the maid of honor. My mom was drinking, and at the rehearsal dinner, she told my sister in front of my husband, their wedding was okay, but this is beautiful. He didn't tell me until later that night because he didn't want to ruin the day. That comment crushed him. When we got home, we made the hard decision: she's no longer welcome to stay in our home. That was in April. It's now July. She has no idea. Since then, we've only had vague phone calls, and now she's saying she wants to come visit to change up her scenery. She can't drive anymore, so if she visits, she'd be fully dependent on us to get around and would definitely expect to stay with us. I'm frozen. I don't know how to say, you can come to dinner, but you're not staying here. I feel like I've been protecting everyone else's feelings for years while mine get ignored. I love her, but I'm drained. Has anyone ever had to say something like this to a parent? How do you set this kind of boundary without feeling like a terrible daughter? Comments. Commenter 1. Boundaries only matter if you're willing to enforce them. She treated your husband like crap, refused to apologize, and insults you both when she thinks you're not listening. At some point, you need to decide, are your mom's feelings more valid and important than your husband's? Are they more important than yours? If you keep putting your mom first, your husband is going to realize that when push comes to shove, you bend over. Commenter 2. Stop beating around the bush and talk to your mom. Commenter 3. You realize we're upset with you, right? You shit-talked my wedding to people at twins' wedding, and that really sucked. You've not only disrespected me but you've disrespected my husband, and honestly, I don't want to see you for a while, so until I'm ready, the answer is going to be no. I'd go no contact, but it doesn't sound like you're gonna go for that. Nta. Update, 1 month later. Hi again. I originally posted about the long-standing tension with my mom, her hurtful comments toward my husband, and my struggle with whether to let her visit. Here's the latest. Quick recap for context. My husband 28M and I 27F started dating in 2021, engaged in December 2023, married October 2024. My relationship with my mom 61F has been complicated for years due to her alcoholism, volatility, and lack of accountability. She was minimally supportive during our wedding planning and made choices that hurt me. At my twin sister's destination wedding this year, my mom made multiple passive-aggressive comments, including telling my sister that her wedding was so much better than mine. My husband heard it, I didn't. After the trip, my husband and I agreed she would no longer be welcome to stay in our home. Since April, we've had very limited contact. The recent conversation, I finally called my mom to talk about it. She immediately denied saying anything hurtful and essentially called my husband a liar. We went back and forth, and she eventually agreed to call and apologize to him directly. She asked for his work schedule, I gave it to her, and she said she'd call. Then, instead of following through, she texted saying she wanted a 3-way call instead, reframing the situation as a misunderstanding or relay of communication. I told her clearly this wasn't about miscommunication, it was about words that were said and how they made us feel. What we needed first was ownership and an apology. Her reply was that she's been accused of speaking without thinking and now wants to talk with her sister my aunt before speaking with us again. She said she'll let us know when she's ready. The unexpected twist. The day after my mom said she wanted to talk with my aunt before speaking to us again, my aunt texted me out of the blue, "Call me when you have a minute to talk. No one knows I am reaching out to you, so please don't mention it." I called her, and we had an incredibly validating conversation. She's been through almost the exact same dynamic with their mom and with my mom, constant comparisons, disapproval of her spouse, judgment about her life choices. She told me my mom has never taken genuine accountability or given a real apology, and likely never will. She encouraged me to stop chasing approval, keep my focus on my marriage, and keep any interactions with my mom surface level and drama-free. Later in the call, I told her that my mom had said she wanted to speak with her before reaching out to us again. The very next morning, my aunt texted me, "Your mom talked to me when we were having coffee this morning. I will call you later today to let you know what we discussed. I didn't tell her that you and I talked yesterday, nor did I start the conversation, she did. When she called later, she gave my husband the lowdown on what we discussed the day before and shared what my mom had said. At one point, my mom apparently asked my aunt if she should apologize to us, and my aunt told her no, because she believed it wouldn't be genuine anyway. Where things stand now. Despite my aunt's advice, my mom still texted both my husband and me in a group chat asking when my husband had time this week to talk, after putting us off with excuses multiple times. At that point, my husband 28M was fully done. He doesn't want to keep going in circles, and I don't blame him. For me, it's sad to accept that my mom may never be the type to take real accountability or give a genuine apology. I know it's going to take me some time to heal and move forward, but I also know that low contact, at least for now, is best for my mental health and for my marriage. I'll be focusing on my life with my husband, keeping boundaries in place, and leaning on my aunt and of course my husband for support when I need it. If anything changes, I'll update again. Thanks to everyone who encouraged me through this. It's been hard, but I finally feel like I'm putting us first. Comments. Commenter 1. Hugs. One thing I have learned both through therapy and Reddit groups is that chasing my mom for a change just stressed me out. The minute I learned to say, she was the best mother she could be versus she is a good mother to me, or that I needed, did my thinking change. You need to work in that she loves you, but she doesn't know what you need and quite possibly can't give it to you. She will not change, but you don't need to change either. Your expectations need to change. Commenter 2. Exactly this. OP, it sounds like you've done everything you could to try to bridge the gap, but real accountability has to come from her. Protecting your peace and marriage is the healthiest choice you can make right now. Commenter 3. I'm husband to a wife that was abused by pretty much everyone in her life before I came along, especially her mother. My wife tried to have a relationship with her mother. It was one-sided, and caused her nothing but pain. I always encouraged her to have as much or as little to do with them as she felt comfortable, knowing that nothing good would ever come from it. Until the day her bio-grandfather died. She called just to talk, and her aunt answered the phone and said some completely vile things. That's when I stepped in. I called and made it very clear that there would be no more contact. She was to never contact my wife again. I made no threats, nor would I, but their relationship was over. That's been about 5 years. My wife's mental and physical health has improved tremendously. It's not only because her mother is no longer in her life, but it plays a huge role. Your mother will never change. Your relationship will never improve. Narcissists gonna narc. Stories number 2. My husband is leaving me for a younger woman, and all I can think about is the house decor. I made this account because my main one has my friends on it and I'm way too embarrassed to be known as the cheated on wife. I'm 34F, married for 7 years to my husband 41M, together for 10. I love my husband and always thought he felt the same about me. We built a life together. 8 years ago, he had severe anxiety and couldn't sleep, so I would stay up with him, holding his hands and doing breathing exercises until he could finally rest. I'd go to work exhausted. I helped him find a therapist. I encouraged him to grow in his career even though he was afraid. 6 years ago, I quit my job to take care of his mom who had cancer because he had the potential to earn more than me. While I was job hunting again, I got pregnant, and he suggested I stay home to take care of him and our daughter. So I did. I cared for him and I loved him. In December, he got a promotion, which meant more hours. I gave birth to our daughter in March. I went through a phase where I felt horrible, fat, ugly, and it was just me and my baby at home. He barely talked to me, always said he was tired, and that I wouldn't understand what he had to say. If it wasn't for my mom staying on video calls with me, I think I would have felt completely abandoned. I've been suggesting couples therapy since June, and he kept saying everything was fine. Now I feel like I'm nothing more than a mother. I used to read, study, be interesting. I wasn't sexually frustrated or insecure back then. I used to have conversations about politics, music, books, art. I decorate our house myself with my own savings and it's everything I ever dreamed of. I love my house. The colors, the furniture, my kitchen. It took me years to make it exactly how I wanted. I have the garden I always dreamed of, a vegetable patch I adore, and a hanging chair where I love to sit with my baby. Last week, he came home later than usual and I was happy to see him. I was in the living room playing with our daughters. He asked the older one to go to her room. He seemed like he had been drinking and then said, "I love you so much, but I don't want to be with you anymore. He told me I wasn't the person he fell in love with anymore. Then he said he was in love with a girl from work, that she was everything he'd ever dreamed of, and that he needed to give himself the chance to live that love without guilt. Yes, he cheated on me with a 22-year-old. When I finally managed to speak, the only thing that came out was, "But what about my home decor?" At some point, I picked up my baby and started shouting things like, "I put time into this house. I did everything it needed. This house is mine." We argued because apparently I didn't value his suffering enough. I don't know why I kept talking about the house. I guess I'm disposable. I'm 34, with a 4-month baby and a 4-year-old daughter. I don't have a job. I'm going to lose my dream home. I feel ugly, fat, and he's told me he's not attracted to me anymore because I gained too much weight during my last pregnancy. Edit, I'm going to talk with his mom and brother about the divorce today. I'm starting with them because they're close to me, and his brother went through a divorce over infidelity early last year. Also, his mom is very attached to me for obvious reasons. I was there for her during the worst part of her life, and his brother and I are also very close. I also texted my mom, and she's coming here to stay with me and the girls. I hope she gets the visa to visit, and my dad, who's American, will be coming to my state in 2 weeks. Edit 2, I talked to his brother about the affair and he leaving. He told me to find a lawyer, the same thing you all said. Now we're talking to a few lawyers today. I accepted the help because I have the girls with me, so it's hard to do everything alone. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, I'm so sorry this happened to you. If you want the house you'll need to fight for it in the divorce. Of your husband was even a little bit decent, he should leave it to you and your daughters so that the kids aren't uprooted. That's the least he can do for you. If he wants to go build another life he'll regret. You're going to need resolve and a plan. Get evidence of his cheating and start building your case. Reply, I'm looking online for lawyers, but I don't know what I'm looking for. Commenter 2, family law attorney in your area. Why should you move? In the US. You don't work and he does. You are primary caregiver to kids. Did someone tell him that banging a 22-year-old was free? That was the most expensive thing he ever did. Reply, I don't want to move. I've been living in the US for 16 years, but I'm from South America. Honestly, I'm scared, even though I'm here legally. Downvoted commenter, yeah, so you wouldn't miss him? But just the house. Reply, I'm going to miss him so much. I love him and I gave so much of myself to him. I can't even describe to you how much it hurts to take a hit like this. It hurts so much that I don't even think about how much I'll miss him. I think about how I dedicated so much time to all of this. He wanted a second daughter and she's here at 4 months old while he's sleeping with a new girl. I'm in pain and I'm angry, so angry. Commenter 3, I think that your first reaction being about your home decor tells you everything that you need to know. Your relationship with him was dead and now you can move on to better things. He doesn't deserve you or the lovely home you created. Downvoted commenter 2, leaving OP with a 4-month-old is pretty shitty behavior. But her response indicates to me that there wasn't a lot of space for him in the relationship. She referred to it as her house, her decor, her vegetable garden. My marriage broke down for similar reasons, although I didn't leave for my secretary. It was pretty clear to me that my wife considered her role to be looking after the house and the kids and my role was to pay for everything. Reply, he didn't want to get involved in anything related to the house. Neither taking care of it, nor maintaining it, nor giving opinions was everything whatever. Commenter 4, so basically you put him on a pedestal and made him your god and served him. Neglecting yourself and everything that made you who you are. Now you are crying about the damn house and how unfair of him to do this to you. Wasn't unfair of you to abandon yourself for that man? If you abandoned you, why would he stick with you? And it is a waste of time giving advice here. You'll take him back in a second if he said sorry, I made a mistake. You really will stay with him and fight for him until the end. When you should only focus on you, not him. So do you want us to say how evil he is doing this to a perfect person like you? Oh, but yeah, do couple therapy, can't lose that house. Reply, I neglected myself in many ways, really. Along the way, I may have changed, but everything I did came from the bottom of my heart. I took care of his mother because I cared about her. I hadn't cared for my daughters because I wanted to be a mother and it made sense for me to care for our children, and I took care of him because I like taking care of the people I love. But I had never even thought about how much I neglected myself until now, because I accepted so many things since I loved him and was busy with all of that. To be really honest, I didn't even want to have my youngest daughter. He was the one who insisted. I hope one day I can be as strong-willed as you, and I hope you never go through this, because unfortunately it's very easy to lose yourself in motherhood and in the role of wife, and I got lost. And no, I do not intend to get back with my husband, I'm afraid of losing my home and my daughters. Commenter 5, it's definitely a raw deal. Even though we're only getting one side of the story, it shouldn't end like this. Best of luck to you and your daughters. It speaks to your character that his own family is on your side. Appreciate that fact and let it give you comfort in who you are. Reply, I have been friends with his brother for a long time, and he went through a difficult divorce, that's why he is with me. I decided not to tell the rest of his family yet until we have a lawyer. Apparently, he hasn't told anyone either. Update, my husband is leaving me for a younger woman, and all I can think about is the house decor. Hi, I'm writing cause I feel pathetic, tired, I just want to skip to when this phase of my life is over. A brief summary of what happened this week, and I can't believe I love this man. My brother-in-law is staying at my house until my family arrives, and my best friend visits me every day. On Monday, my brother-in-law asked my ex to leave the house and, strangely, he actually listened to his brother. Since then, he's only been tormenting me through messages. He wants an amicable divorce and keeps making proposals that only benefit him. I've been trying to stick to a routine, because I have 2 children and they need stability, and apparently, I'm the only one willing to provide that. Yesterday he texted me saying he wanted to see the kids, and I agreed. He showed up after they were already asleep, I swore he wasn't going to come. He arrived here at 11 p.m. with a document, wanting to talk about how he'd like to keep the house and pay me an additional amount for my share. I just stared at him without saying anything. I asked him to leave because the kids were sleeping. My brother-in-law added that it wasn't the right time or place to discuss this and asked him to leave. I don't know what happened to him, but this doesn't seem like the man I married. He yelled at my brother-in-law, saying he was betraying him, that he wanted to play house because his own marriage didn't work out. Then he yelled at me, calling me a lazy whore who wasn't going to take his money. He said this house was his, and that his 22-year-old girlfriend, and told him I was going to try to keep the house he bought. We didn't respond, I just said he should leave because he was getting messy, and then he left. I don't know why he wants the house when he can afford to buy another one. And I don't understand how the person I married could try to trick me just to come out ahead in the divorce. I kept asking myself, if this is the man I married, he wants me gone, he wants the kids gone. He didn't ask about the girls, about his own daughters. He didn't see them or even ask to give them a goodnight kiss. To him and to Anne, we're just an obstacle. Nothing more. I'm not even a person. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, the 22-year-old wants the house. Reply, for sure, but she won't even come close. What makes me angriest is that it took me so long to get the house to look the way it does today. And now some girl comes along, and he just assumes I'm going to give my house to them. Commenter 2, did he buy the house before you were married, or did you both buy it after you were married? If he came into the marriage with the house, there isn't much you can do and he will likely get the house. If not, then you will probably get the house in the divorce, as that is the home of the kids. I would suggest keeping all communications in text so that you have evidence of what he said. Keep a notebook as well to make notes of anything he does or say or doesn't do regarding the kids. If he says he will visit but doesn't make a note of it, this will help you in child custody. Reply, I paid part of the down payment, he pays the mortgage, but I've invested around 15% of the value in renovations and decoration. Commenter 3, I'm so proud of you for standing your ground and protecting yourself and the kids. I think Bill has always known who his brother is, a selfish AH, and is helping you and the kids because he knows how his brother can be. Bill sounds like a decent guy, and I am so glad you have someone in your corner as you wait for reinforcements. At least you have your 2 babies and won't have to worry about custody. Please get therapy when and if you can, so you have someone to process this with. Reply, honestly, he and my best friend are the best. After 4 months, I finally have time to rest and get help with my baby. Do you know how good it feels to take a 40-50 minute shower just to relax? I had been alone for so long that I thought it was normal to do everything by myself. Commenter 4, so basically, you quit your job to care for his mom, and didn't get another job to raise yours and his children, so you had to rely on him for income, and now this fucker who you gave up everything for, his and his family, wants to basically leave you nothing and doesn't even give a fuck about his kids. Fuck that. I hope someone will give you the money for a good divorce lawyer. What a fucking asshole. Reply, my dad is going to pay for my lawyer, my mom is also supporting me financially, and my brother-in-law has also offered to cover expenses if necessary. What happened to OOP's Bale's marriage? Reply, the ex cheated and got pregnant. He had to rush through the divorce so he wouldn't be listed on the child's birth certificate. They were together since high school. Stories number 3. Aita for refusing to let my sister borrow $15K from my inheritance to pay for her dream wedding. So for context, my dad passed away 3 years ago and left me 28F and my sister 26F each a portion of his estate. He was very intentional about how he divided things. My sister got the house which was already mortgage-free because she lived with him and cared for him toward the end. I, on the other hand, got a lump sum of money, about $50,000, because I had moved out years earlier and was already renting my own place. My sister has always been a little reckless with money. She works, but she's constantly taking trips, buying luxury items, and upgrading her car every couple of years. Meanwhile, I've been using my inheritance responsibly. I paid off a huge chunk of my student loans, built an emergency fund, and I'm saving for a down payment on a house. Here's where the problem starts. My sister got engaged last year and is planning a massive, over-the-top wedding. We're talking a $60,000 budget with a fancy venue, custom dress, and an open bar for 300 guests. She recently came to me and asked if she could borrow $15,000 from my inheritance money because she and her fiancé are short. She swore up and down that she'd pay me back within a year once they got their finances in order. I told her no. That money isn't just sitting there for me to throw around, it's for my future. Plus, given her history with money, I don't believe she'd ever pay me back. She flipped out, crying about how Dad would want her to have the wedding of her dreams and how I'm being selfish because I already used the money to better my life while she hasn't gotten anything out of hers yet. My mom sided with her and told me I should help family and that weddings are once in a lifetime. But my fiancé 29M and friends think I'd be insane to hand over $15,000 for a party. My sister and I haven't spoken properly in weeks. She's told extended family that I'm ruining her big day because I'm hoarding money. For the record, if she had asked for a smaller amount for something important like medical bills or emergency expenses, I might have considered helping. But a luxury wedding? No. Now I'm being painted as the villain, and I can't help but wonder if I'm being too rigid. Aita for refusing to lend my sister $15,000 for her wedding even though I got inheritance money. Comments. Commenter 1. You're not being rigid at all. A wedding is a one-day party, and it makes no sense to jeopardize your financial future for it. You've been responsible with your inheritance, and she chose to spend hers differently, that's not your fault. Reply, thank you for saying that. That's exactly how I feel, it's one day versus the rest of my life. I've worked hard to be responsible with what I was given, and it feels unfair that I'm being painted as selfish just because I don't want to throw away my future stability for someone else's choices. Commenter 2, she has a house with no mortgage as part of her inheritance. She can either take out part of the equity or remortgage and get the money that way. Since she is so convinced she will pay you back within a year, she should be able to pay the bank back within 1 year as well. Solved. Your future is secure. Her wedding is guaranteed to be grand. Everyone wins. Do not give her any money at all. If she cannot afford the wedding she should scale down. While your dad would want her to have a wedding of her dreams, he would also want her to be able to afford life in the marriage after the wedding. Commenter 3, honestly, with her track record there's no way she'd pay you back. Your dad divided things fairly, and you're under zero obligation to fund her dream wedding. Standing your ground here is the smartest move. Reply, exactly this. Even if she promised to pay me back, I know deep down it would never happen. My dad knew what he was doing when he split things, he took her habits into account. I'm not going to let guilt-tripping undo that. Standing my ground is the only way to protect myself. Commenter 4, NTA. Ask her to sell the house and split the profits with you and then she can have her money. Reply, honestly, that's exactly it, she got the house, I got the money. If she wants more cash, then maybe it's time she sells the house and we can talk about splitting those profits. But funny how sharing only comes up when it's my inheritance on the line. Stories number 4. Aita for saying no when my mom asked for money after spoiling her boyfriend. I told my mom no when she asked me for money, and now my family thinks I'm heartless. I'm 27F, she's 48F, and her boyfriend is 29M. Yes, only 2 years older than me. That detail alone makes this whole thing even more awkward. She started dating him last year, and I've never liked him. He doesn't have a stable job, just bounces between gigs somehow, he's always in brand new sneakers, going out to eat, and posting beach trips like he's living it up. Last week, Mom called me crying, saying she's short on rent and needs my help just this once. My first instinct was to say yes because she's my mom. Then I remembered her Instagram stories from a few days earlier: expensive steakhouse dinner, cocktails, a weekend at the beach, and her boyfriend showing off some designer kicks. I asked her straight up if she paid for all that, and she admitted she did because he's been stressed and I wanted to make him feel special. I told her I'm not bailing her out when she's spoiling a grown man who should be helping with bills instead of draining her. That's when she snapped, saying I'm punishing her for being happy. Then my aunt texted me saying I need to step up because mom has always been there for me. Sure, she's done things for me before, but I've been paying my own way since college. Now I feel guilty because she's my mom, and I don't want her to lose her place. I also feel like if I give her the money, I'm just enabling bad decisions. She's acting like a sugar mom to a guy my age, and it's embarrassing. If this was groceries or a medical bill, I'd help in a heartbeat. But this? This feels like throwing money into a fire. She says I'm being selfish and cold. I've been replaying the whole conversation in my head wondering if I am. Comments. Commenter 1. Tell your aunt that if that's what she thinks, she can step up. Reply. If she really feels that way, she's welcome to step in. Commenter 2. Aunt can give her money. Don't give her a dime. Maybe she will start being responsible because this guy will dump her when she can't buy him expensive stuff and take him on holidays. Reply. True, I feel the same. If she runs out of money, maybe she'll finally see his true colors. I'm not bailing her out. Commenter 3. Say look, I know being short on rent is stressful. You've used money on non-necessities and now you need it back. I am happy to help you post things on Facebook Marketplace, Nextdoor, or Craigslist to recoup some of that money. I can help you photograph things you've purchased recently and I'll bet we can get part of that money back. Help her by helping her see what she's doing. There are other ways to help than just writing a check. Sounds like she can sell some of his new shoes and gifts or things of her own if she doesn't want to take things back from the boyfriend. Reply. I'd rather help her figure out a way to make that money back than just hand it over, especially since this came from splurging on her boyfriend. Stories number 5. Aita for banning my wife's Disney divorce friends plugins from our house. My wife's friend Melissa 49F is staying with us for a few weeks while she sorts her life out. We have a large home and are very happy to have house guests. She's leaving her husband after 25 years of marriage because she wants to move to LA and work at Disneyland. This sounds like the plot of a bad sitcom, but I'm afraid it's real. Both she and her husband are equally culpable for the failure of their marriage, and really bring out the worst in one another. Their relationship has been in a state for as long as I've known them. The problem is Melissa showed up with an arsenal of room scents and sprays, and plugins. The smell teenage girl with a side of forever chemicals /ode to Disneyland has completely taken over the hallway, the family bathroom, my office, and even down 2 flights of stairs into the foyer drawing room and living room. It's strong, it's nasty, and it's made of and smells like all of the chemicals that we avoid. Sidebar, we've been cleansing ourselves of chemical nasties, and have curated our home to smell clean and subtle. It's part of what makes it feel like home. Now it just smells like teen spirit. Melissa is genuinely lovely and in a vulnerable spot, and I don't want to make her feel unwelcome. But it's our house, and this is something we've been intentional about. However, outside of our personal feelings about plugins, it feels really out there to rock up in someone else's home and decide to bring your own plug-in scents to totally change the smell of the house. I mentioned how strong the smell was, assuming it was a room spray, and how it was overtaking every room. She said yeah, the plugins are pretty strong. I was so shocked I asked her to remove them. I opened up with a sensitive ask, hey, those room sprays are pretty strong, would you mind keeping the door closed if you're using them, and spiraled a bit when I heard her say plugins plural. My wife told me I was being an for making her uncomfortable when she is going through a lot, and that I could bitch to her about it was over the line to ask her to stop. I was incredulous that she thought it was okay to change the scent of our house. Am I the here like my wife says? I feel pretty justified in my complaint. Edit. To address the frequently asked questions. The plugins are already gone. The conversation pivoted from could you please keep the door closed when you spray the room to can you please remove the plugins. She apologized and removed them immediately. I also spotted, after writing this post, that the intake vent for the central air was about 12 feet from where one of the plugins was. This explains how the whole house got gunked up so quickly. The smell still hasn't gone 24 hours later. In the part of the conversation where the plugins were revealed, my wife informs me that my facial expressions were all over the place, a mix of shock and disgust. I maintained a friendly but firm tone when I asked her to remove them, explained my reasoning clearly. I capped the conversation by saying I hated the smell of them, which was unkind and deeply unhelpful. In my defense, genuinely do hate the smell, and I was so thoroughly flabbergasted that an adult would think this is okay to do that I made an unguarded comment. Comments. Commenter 1. NTA. She's making you uncomfortable in your home. Reply. I felt like I was taking crazy pills. It's just not acceptable for a grown woman to decide to add plug-in scents to someone else's home. Commenter 2. NTA. Most plugins give me a massive headache. Reply. Same, and I need to be able to focus in my office to keep my job that pays for the house you are staying in. Commenter 3. You're right about those plugins being toxic. We don't use those in our home. I'm also cleansing myself of toxins because of chronic health problems. Can you give more details of your conversation with the Disney guest? You said you spiraled when she said plugins. Did you yell at her? Were you disrespectful? I agree that what she did was disrespectful. She sounds kind of immature, honestly. I would have a sit down with her and explain that plugins affect your health and you've been working hard to get chemicals out of your body and home, so they can't be in your house. Honestly, I don't care if she's going through something hard. She should still respect your home. Reply. I asked her to remove them in what I felt was a neutral tone, but was probably a bit robotic. My words in the conversation were mainly neutral. I tried to be constructive. I said that I could smell them everywhere and that we were working hard to remove toxic products from our home. I ended by saying I hate the smell of them, which was unnecessary. Where I think I am in danger of being the mayor of Town was by pulling a variety of faces involuntarily while I processed the fact that she has plugged in scent diffusers in my home. I have a very expressive face and don't hide my emotions very well. Stories number 6. Me 30F with my husband 32M of 8 years, found possible evidence of cheating. I'm devastated. I don't know where exactly to start. He is working late tonight, or that is what he says, so I thought I'd take some time to write in and ask for advice. Sorry for this being disjointed. I've been pretty emotional and crying a lot this evening. We have been together since college, married for the last 8 years right after college grad for me. We were perfect for each other. Many friendships have come and gone, but we've always found contentment in each other. Both adventurous and did some traveling together when we were first married. We argued, but not a lot. We had kids. First planned child was 6 years ago, second surprise child, and last is now 3. Since having kids it's been tough to get time together. Both of our parents live a few hours drive away. There aren't many babysitters we've found that can handle our rambunctious boys. Husband works a demanding, stressful job and has had to cancel vacation plans more than once over the last 6 years because of a terrible boss. We were seeing each other for what felt like minutes every day, and our children, while wonderful, demanded a lot of our time and energy. His boss changed about 6 months ago. Immediately his hours became more reasonable and his stress levels went down. Still long hours and travel some days, but better. We had evenings together again, but something was different. It felt like we were strangers, just roommates who had kids together. We were just so exhausted from the last few years that we must have spent a couple months using any spare time we had once the kids were in bed crashing, watching Netflix, etc. Just boring stuff, and all along I felt very disconnected from the man who was supposed to be my partner. So we talked about it. I told him I missed him. We had a few conversations about feeling disconnected. We hired a sitter, went on some dates, and things started to feel better. He's been more loving and attentive. He bought me flowers again. I was feeling so hopeful, like I was getting my partner back. About a month ago I noticed something I think I wasn't supposed to. He has been talking about this work trip coming up for a week in August. It's been a bit of a sore spot for me since in my mind summer is for family vacations, not work trips. But I've been being understanding. However, when he was in the shower his phone beeped, and I saw an email from someone named Allison entitled Our Trip. I felt a little weird looking at it, but when I asked him about it he checked his phone and told me it was a spam email. I didn't think of it after that, but since then I haven't seen his phone left out again. I found something else about a week ago. It was a receipt for a jewelry store, and it was a sizable sum. Money has never really been terribly tight for us, but even I was surprised by how much it was for. I felt a sinking feeling in the pit of my stomach and I admit looked for his personal laptop to see if I could snoop through his emails. But he'd taken his personal laptop to work, something he'd never done. I was getting nervous but somehow didn't want to bring it up with him. Maybe I was trying not to believe it. But this morning I found his credit card bill in his sock drawer. Why was he hiding it, you ask? There were transactions going back over the last month, all for stores that men typically don't shop at. I added them up and he has spent a few $100s on what looks like women's clothing and lingerie. I haven't seen anything from these stores in our house, so who are they for? He is working better hours but still away some evenings. He could be spending at least an evening a week with someone else. I don't know what to think, but I fear the worst. Is there someone else? Was I too unavailable when our kids were younger? Is he going on a trip with them? Is it this Allison person? What am I going to do if he leaves me? He's buying her presents, for God's sake. Doesn't that usually mean a man is moving on or falling in love somewhere else? I don't know what to do. I don't know any of his passwords, so I can't snoop. I could call his office to make sure he is actually there when he says he is, but if I talk to anyone I think I'm just going to start bawling again. He should be home in a few hours. What am I going to do? I don't want to raise my kids alone. I don't want to be alone. TLDR, we've grown distant since having kids. Recently I found receipts and saw an email that make me believe he is having an affair. I don't know what to do. Please help. Comments. Commenter 1. Show him the receipt you found. Ask him to explain why he's been buying women's clothing and jewelry. If the reason is totally innocent, he's been quietly squirreling away gifts for you, he should be able to explain it easily. If he gets defensive, accuses you of distrusting him, or otherwise tries to make the argument about your behavior instead of answering the question, you have your answer. If he is in fact cheating, lawyer up immediately. Even if you have to shoulder the burden of parenting more or less on your own from here on out, you can do everything in your power to ensure that he has to contribute fairly to your kids' living expenses. Reply, even the idea of raising the kids without him makes me want to puke. It's not the money, it's the lack of a partner. I'll show him the receipt when he gets home. I don't know if I'll be coherent or not. If he was getting gifts for me, I would think I would have seen something hidden around here, but I've torn the house apart today looking. There's nothing. He's never bought me clothes before. I can't remember the last time he bought me lingerie. Maybe before we had kids. Update. Edit. The comments are making me very scared. I am thankful for everyone who is talking to me though, even when it's hard to hear. I've calmed down a bit, Red, no longer am sobbing, and I'm going to call my older sister to talk to a real person about this. She lives a couple hours away, but we have always been close, and she knows my husband well. I will try and update again later. Thank you again to everyone. Edit 2, I just had a very strange conversation with my sister. I told her everything, was getting really worked up and emotional and crying again. She interrupted me and told me, sis, it's going to be fine, you need to calm down and talk to husband when he gets home. I promise everything is okay. Hang up the phone, take a bath or something, calm down and wait for husband to get home. Then she said she loved me and she hung up. What the hell is going on with my life today? I feel like she just blew me off. She didn't seem to react to what I was saying. But most commenters here seem pretty sure that something bad is going on. I feel like I'm going crazy. Edit 2, right after I posted my edit about my sister and the phone call, my husband texted. He said my sister had called him and he was on his way home. I immediately freaked out because I did not feel ready to talk to him. I was super pissed at my sister for calling him, and to be honest I felt like the entire world was falling down around my ears. I broke down. I didn't even know where I was, but when I heard the front door open I realized I was on my knees in the kitchen sobbing. My husband skidded around the corner, and when I saw him I just started crying harder. He dropped to the ground in front of me and started apologizing, and I just lost it. I started shaking my head and saying no 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 over and over again. I couldn't even hear what he was saying. He tried to hug me and I held my arms out all stiff, like a kid does when they don't want a hug, just holding him back. It took me a few minutes to register what he was saying, but he was repeating over and over, I'm sorry for scaring you, please listen to me, you need to hear what's going on, I'm not cheating, please listen to me, just over and over. I finally stopped and just said what? I just was so drained and confused. It was good news. I saw some of the comments in the original post saying maybe it was a surprise and you folks get the grand prize. The story all came out. After our big talks about reconnecting, he called my sister for advice. My sister's idea was to have him spirit me away for a surprise weekend getaway while she and my bail took the kids. She connected him to her friend, a travel agent, remember Allison? To get the ball rolling. The plan evolved into my sister and parents trading off with the kids for the week. The jewelry receipt is for a necklace, for me, to wear out to dinner on our trip. The credit card charges are for some fancy clothes and lingerie he got me for the trip. He took some of my clothes with him to get the sizes right and got a lot of help from the salespeople. He says they are my style, but they could be bags for all I care at this point. So why the surprise? My sister told him that it would be better if it was a surprise, because it would be romantic that way. She didn't count on me finding out early and assuming the worst. I have had mild anxiety issues all my life that have been worse since having kids, but this was the worst it's ever been. I've never felt so totally out of control in my life. He didn't tell me all of this right away. Some of it came out in that first moment in the kitchen, but when I realized it was not the end of my marriage I pretty much became incoherent with relief. This is embarrassing, but I sobbed so hard that I vomited a little. At least it was on the linoleum. The rest he told me after I calmed down. We talked until late last night. He showed me all the emails, showed me our destination, we got excited together. I am not mad at him at all, which he is relieved by. Apparently my sister called him with a red alert: get home now before your wife calls a lawyer message. She knows I have some anxiety issues, so I may have to get after her about the decision to keep this all a big secret from me. Right now I'm too relieved to be upset. I am a little concerned by how unhinged I became. I think I need to work on that. It's not like me. What am I going to do if a real crisis comes along? Some people were saying that I am codependent. Maybe they are right. But that's for later. For now I'm enjoying my day with the kids and looking forward to my trip. Thank you to all the advice and good wishes from you all. I'm sorry for worrying anyone. You are wonderful people to spend your time ready to help a stranger through the screen. I hope your lives can all take an unexpected yet wonderful turn. Comments. Commenter. My sister told him that it would be better if it was a surprise, because it would be romantic that way. Turns out she was wrong. There's a lesson here: never surprise a woman unless you know she likes it. I forgot my girlfriend's birthday once because I wanted to surprise her. She cried for 3 days and 6 years later we're still dealing with the repercussions. Anyway, I'm glad the surprise theory turned out to be the correct one. I hadn't really thought it would turn out that way because of how rarely we get good news in this forum. Thank you, OP, for restoring my faith in humanity just a little. Stories number 7. I am 27, am suing my brother M41, and my GFF 23 wants me to disown my parents too. Is she right? I previously deleted the post just to be safe. But here's a summary. After I got a degree in computer science, my brother and his 2 partners recruited me to work a summer for them. They wanted me to set up their infrastructure for their new company in finance and investments. 1 summer turned into 2 years of free work as a secretary, receptionist, systems tech, personal assistant, accountant, research analyst. They paid me about 4 or 5 times, totaling about $7,000 to $8,000 in 2 years. When I left to start grad school they were mad that I wouldn't stay. When I finished grad school and put them on my resume, they lied to prospective employers about me. They denied I worked for them, and said I was trying to use my brother's name to get ahead. They also accused me of visiting their office and sexually harassing female employees they never even had. I called them to ask them about it and they, including my brother, just laughed about the whole thing and said I was getting what I deserved. Kind of like it's what you get when you fuck with us. My counselor and some other people from school, including my headhunter, helped me get a job. But I had to sue my brother and his partners for slander and other things. My brother called me to laugh about the lawsuit when they got served, but now they're scared and my brother has my dad pressuring me to drop the lawsuit and just sit down with them both to work something out. My dad called this just a little big brother bullying little brother nonsense, and demanded I drop the lawsuit. He and my mom uninvited me to Thanksgiving at their house, but my mom pretty much tried to stay out of it. I could tell this was hard for her. There's very little to update legally in terms of the lawsuit, but I had a laptop that contained lists of clients that my brother and his partners stole from their respective employers before they left to start the company. I didn't want to turn those files over to my attorney cause things are bad enough for them already. My girlfriend had a different opinion. She wants me to just absolutely let them have it and crush them. I called my attorney and told them I had the files and dropped them off at his firm on the 9th. On the 10th I got a call from his firm saying that my attorney needed to see me that very day. I went in and he said that the files would be turned over to the U.S. Attorney's office, so it's out of our hands now. But he really wanted to talk to me about my parents. He spoke to my dad and basically said that my dad is a world-class prick. He's going to subpoena both my parents to testify at a deposition and probably at trial if we make it that far. He wanted me to prepare myself for what they might say about me. He made it clear there is no turning back now. I didn't pay anything for my attorney to take the case, so his firm is very financially invested in this now. Basically, they're calling the shots now. I think my attorney thinks I'm weak or that I'll want to back off or take it easy on them. He actually told me that he knows my family would weaken me. I think he underestimates me. Anyway, he told me to just brace myself for the heat my dad will bring on me. I told him I had 2 older sisters on my side and my mother was pretty neutral. He assured me that my mother is absolutely not neutral. So he just told me to prepare for anything. So I got phone calls from my 2 sisters who both live about 300 miles away. They were disgusted with my dad and my brother's behavior and had told me they were 100% behind me. Now they told me that my girlfriend and I are uninvited to go see them and their children this Christmas. They told me they loved me but that I needed to back off of this lawsuit. This was a little bit of a shock. It didn't crush me, but it wasn't easy to hear. They won't be contacting me anymore and want me to not contact them, and they said they have their reasons. They both cried when they called, but I stayed calm. They also emailed my girlfriend to let her know about being uninvited to their homes for Christmas. My girlfriend blasted them both with a very scathing response that I wish she hadn't sent, but it's her decision how she responds to them. My dad is getting a little out of control. He confronted me and my girlfriend outside the house of a family friend who had us over for a holiday get-together on Sunday night. It got heated, and I said some things that were probably below the belt and made him almost cry. His eyes watered and he was trying to not cry. Then my girlfriend jumped in and blasted him like she did my sisters. Basically, she's on a roll right now. I can tell the gloves have come off for her. My mom just stayed in my dad's truck and watched, but she couldn't hear anything, I don't think. For now there's nothing else going on. Oh, one other thing. My attorney said my brother and his partners closed doors on their business already. They went under. They have filed some puzzling and contradictory responses to our lawsuit, which surprises me because my brother is smarter than that, usually. They have now changed attorneys and retained a reputable firm. The first thing the new attorneys did is ask what it would take to settle. My attorney says their new attorneys are smart, they know it will be a bloodbath in court. I guess I'll just have to wait and see where it goes from here. But some of you commented from experience that the blowback from legal battles like this tears families apart for decades sometimes. I can see how this can happen and probably will. Edit. Some of you are asking about why my sisters changed their minds. I know now that my dad helped them both buy their respective houses. They both still owe him a lot of money for that. My best guess is he used that and maybe other things to coerce them into taking his side. TLDR, lawsuit is at a standstill. My sisters are now on my brother's side. I turned over the laptop, and it looks like I'm gonna win, but it's not over till it's over. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Oh man. You had better be prepared for no family gatherings for a very, very long time. I don't think a lot of people would have gone as far as you did, and that certainly is your own choice, but who loses here now, in the name of justice? Your family could lose a lot of money, and maybe they deserve it, but now there is no benefit to anybody but your attorney as far as I can deduce from the situation. You are one emotionally rock-solid human being. Perhaps a little too rocky. Reply. They were making me unhireable, so filing the lawsuit was something I had to do to clear my name. The 4 big companies that I got interviews with all said the same thing. That they wouldn't hire me because it looked as though I lied into my resume, and also the sexual harassment thing scared other companies away. I'm not suing my whole family. Just my brother and his 2 partners. They have a lot of money but will probably wind up broke after this. My parents don't depend on my brother for money at all. I did call them repeatedly and asked them to stop, but they just laughed at me and kept charging ahead and slandering me. It just became a game to them and they showed me zero respect. They were hoping I'd have no job to go to and would just come back and work for them again. That's what they thought would happen. Commenter 2. How did you not see this coming? I mean, you of all people should know what your brother is like. Reply. This is the best and hardest question I've gotten. I always knew my brother was a bit of a narcissist. I just didn't know the extent of it. Because of the age difference, I didn't associate with him much. I think what happened here is I truly believed I was helping my brother for one summer, and it quickly turned into 2 years. I knew they would be mad when I left. I knew after a few months that all 3 of them were complete narcissists. I also thought they would hate me for leaving because they relied on me so much to keep the company operating. I knew they would have to hire 5 or 6 people to replace, and that's not an exaggeration. So I knew they would be mad. After that first year I knew that this would end up badly between me and my brother. But I could have never guessed it would be this bad. That's why I decided to go apply for grad school. Sure enough, when I finally left, all three of them were really pissed at me. They had not 1 ounce of gratitude for the 2 years of free labor. But I never guessed they would slander me like that once I tried to get a job. Especially cause when I was still in grad school they would call me to come in on weekends and work for them. But by then I was waiting tables at a restaurant near school, and by then I had a couple of close friends who pretty much shook some sense into me. Cause I actually considered going back to help them part-time while I finished school. I guess I should have seen more of this coming, but I was honestly completely and utterly blindsided by them slandering me, and making up the whole sexual harassment BS. As narcissistic as they are, and I've never met more narcissistic people, I truly was shocked that they came that hard at me and showed absolutely no compassion. I didn't want to go into so much detail again, there would just be too much to type. But with what I'm finding out about my brother through my attorney, it's worse than I ever thought. Not paying me, and slandering me was just what I knew about. But now we know there was other stuff, like fraud against me and others that I didn't know about. Serious tax violations also against me and against the IRS, and some identity theft where he used my name on some documents that I clearly didn't sign or even know about. The more they dig, the worse it gets. At some point it's almost easier to just tell them to stop digging. Let's just go with what we have. I know one thing, I was very lucky I left them when I did. Otherwise I may have been dragged down with them and legal trouble they have coming their way. Commenter 3. What did your girlfriend say to your dad that cut? What did you say? Reply. I posted that a summary in a long comment somewhere on this post. But basically my dad questioned my morals, so I brought up stuff about him. He cheated on my mother a long time ago, he got a DUI but gave the cops his brother's name, and his brother took the rap for that about 25 years ago. His brother is no longer alive, so it hurt him that I brought up how he treated his late brother. There was other stuff about him having been excommunicated from a church for ripping off many of the members when he had a small construction business, which he used his brother's license, by the way, because my dad had his revoked for being a crook. Then my girlfriend asked him how it felt to go to church 5 days a week, which he does, and then come out and be the crook that he is. Then she asked him what he was going to do if Judgment Day came tomorrow for him. She asked, "What are you going to do? Give God your brother's name and say that he did all those things, not you." Commenter 4. If you don't want to settle, don't do it. As set up thread, it would be a bloodbath in front of a judge/jury. Your brother and his friends are so bizarre, why work so hard to not pay an excellent worker/prevent you from having a real job? God. Reply. They have a very good answer for your question. Here was their reasoning. They wanted me to get licensed and bonded in their field, which I did. But I just had the license and still didn't know much about investments. They figured once I get licensed that people would flock to me and bring their portfolios. They wanted me to call all my friends' parents and anybody I knew to come see us for a free portfolio review, and then they said they would close the deal and I would make so much money that I would be swimming in it. So that's how I found out in the end that they planned on paying me all along. They figured after then made me filthy rich they wouldn't owe anything anymore. That's how delusional they were. That's why I finally left. Commenter 5. One thing to think about: if the company closed its doors or is bankrupt, the company can no longer be sued and a LL of its debts are discharged. You will have to pursue your brother and partners in their individual, not corporate capacity. This will be a little more difficult possibly if it is indisputable that they were acting in their corporate roles. Something to ask your addies about. Reply. As far as the company closing its doors, it won't matter to our case. The three idiots never incorporated, no LLC, no partnership, nothing. The company had a name, but it was just a name they registered as a DBA with the county clerk and had stationery made. They didn't trust each other enough to have a corporation being paid all the commissions and then having a corporation pay them. They wanted to keep their commissions totally separate. Then they split the bills 3 ways. I know that because I kept financial statements up to date for all 3 of them. So all the business they did in the 4 years was in their own names. That's why all 3 of them have now transferred the deeds to their homes to their wives. They know there's no corporation to hide behind. And this comment from OOP about his family and they lawsuit. Reply. At this point the damage is done to my family. I don't see the point in backing off now, especially since 2 of the 3 people I'm suing are not even related to me. Besides, I spent weeks calling them and asking them what the hell they were doing by bad-mouthing me. I asked them to stop and they just laughed about it. All 3 of them laughed like they were toying with some little kid. They would say stuff like, "Don't worry, we'll still hire you when nobody else wants you. They thought it was some kind of funny prank that they were pulling. Then they stepped it up and made up the stuff about me sexually harassing their secretaries, which they never had any. Then when I finally sued, my brother called me with the sole purpose of laughing at my lawsuit. He laughed and said that they have attorney friends that would work for them for free and that their attorneys would crush my attorney. I could hear his two partners laughing in the background and making jokes to taunt me. They never took me seriously. Then when he was done laughing, he told me to just get used to the fact that I would be working for them in the future. He made a joke about what a bad career move it was for me to sue my future employer. So this became very personal for me, and I was glad to see that my attorney was just as insulted by them that he's taking this kind of personal. Like I've said many times, the damage is done. My family is gone, they're not coming back. So I'm totally on board when my attorney tells me that he's going to make them feel a lot of pain. I just don't think my attorney thinks I can take the heat of a full-on trial. But I think he's wrong. Although I don't think it will come to that. Final update: things have wrapped up. They signed a settlement agreement and now it's up to the judge to approve it. The judge won't do that for 2 more weeks, but apparently it's a formality. It's a sure thing he'll approve it, is what the attorneys say anyway. As far as the settlement, I can't really disclose much, but I can say that it's close to what my boyfriend was suing for in terms of money figure. They had transferred their houses to their wives' names, which are in the process of being sold to pay off the settlement. The settlement included a written apology and complete admission of guilt from all 3 of the defendants. They also have to write apology letters and retractions to all the employers that refused to hire my boyfriend based on them slandering him. I think there were 4 companies in all. All 3 of them had their license taken away and will never work as financial advisors again in any state apparently. They also will face a criminal investigation due to some forged signatures on some of the deals they made, which will lead to conviction but probably no jail time according to the experts. Financially they are beyond ruined, which is what I thought they deserved the whole time. I know my boyfriend regrets this whole thing and I understand that. It's still his family and they were close at some point. I think he's better off without them anyway, but that's easy for me to say. His parents are totally a lost cause. I don't think there will be a reconciliation in this lifetime after what's happened. I thought my boyfriend would be open to one when the dust settled, but now I don't. During the mediation hearings his mom and dad both testified. They both lied, but I knew his crooked dad would. I was shocked that the mother lied about there having been a verbal agreement that my boyfriend would work for his brother's company in exchange for room and board at the parents' house, and that the dad had also been paying him in cash for working. She said she witnessed my boyfriend refusing payment from his brother many times. She lied about a lot of other very hurtful things right there while my boyfriend sat there and watched her. She never looked at him, not once. His dad never looked at him either, but at least he sat there the whole time after he'd testified to support his older son and his friends. His mother left the room crying after she testified. I was not shocked that she testified because the attorney had said she might. But I was extremely shocked about the horrible things she said about my boyfriend. She will someday regret doing that to her son. Ugh, such an awful and just revolting and repulsive thing what she did. What she did to her youngest son is inexcusable. I was beyond utterly disgusting that she did that. Ugh, she really has no clue how much damage she did to her youngest son. I doubt he'll ever get over it, and I doubt he will ever want to see her again. Not to rant about the mother, but she lied and said disgusting things about her youngest son, and he's the only good son she has. He's the only one who doesn't owe his dad anything. He's the only one with a compassion and high morals, the only one who constantly worried about her and kept in touch with her. Ugh, she messed up in the most disgusting way. How can she do that? He was there for her more than her other 3 kids put together. All for a lawsuit that she had to know they were going to lose. Her testimony did nothing to help their case, nothing. She testified for absolutely no reason. We sent Christmas gifts to my boyfriend's sisters and their daughters. We received thank you cards in return. They haven't contacted my boyfriend since, but I have received a couple of hello emails from one of them. She never mentions my boyfriend or the family problems, she just says hello and asks how I'm doing. I just respond by saying we are both good and hope they are all doing well. I'm not sure where this will go, but it's a small step in what seems like will be a long road before they are allowed by their father to reconcile with their brother, or until they have the courage to do so without the dad's blessing. I think they are both too embarrassed to contact my boyfriend directly. I can sense that they are trying to find a way that will eventually lead them to him. I think they need to just contact him, but that's not my decision. I keep looking at this from my perspective and my family is really close so it's hard to watch what's going on with his family. I just think what the hell? Why do you do this to each other? But that's just how it is. Just to be clear, I knew very early on that my boyfriend's parents were toxic. I initially just wanted him to cut all ties with them with the way they sided with the older brother, knowing how he tried to destroy his own little brother's career told me a lot. I wished back then that my boyfriend would just disown them, but I knew that was unrealistic at the time. I knew I was emotional, and I backed off when I saw how stressed my boyfriend was. But things escalated and now I think my boyfriend's mom has dealt a death blow to any chance of reconciliation. I'm not just saying that because I'm against it. I'm not for it, and I'm disgusted with her. But I can see the damage she did up close. I'm afraid he may never forgive her. She just went overboard in such a horrible way. I have been talking to my dad about this the whole time and everything has turned out exactly that he said it would. Everybody, all parties are destroyed. It's like a bomb went off and everybody got hit. TLDR, the lawsuit is settled, my boyfriend's mother slandered him worse than his brother did, and there won't be a reconciliation ever from what I can tell. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. The settlement included a written apology and complete admission of guilt from all three of the defendants. They also have to write apology letters and retractions to all the employers that refused to hire my boyfriend based on them slandering him. I think there were 4 companies in all. All 3 of them had their license taken away and will never work as financial advisors again in any state apparently. They also will face a criminal investigation due to some forged signatures on some of the deals they made. Which will lead to conviction but probably no jail time according to the experts. That gave me a massive justice boner. That aside, it's good that he succeeded in his case. I only hope that he can live happily without his shitty parents for the rest of his life. Being estranged from family can be very hard for some people. Try to be there for him the best you can. Good luck, you too. Reply. All parties were destroyed to some degree from this legal fight. My boyfriend will recover eventually but I don't know when. I keep thinking he will fall apart but he has been going about his daily stuff like nothing has happened. I know he is in more pain than he is showing right now. I know that because he literally does not sleep. He just lays in bed totally awake. That is not normal for him. He is the kind that has a hard time waking up, not the other way around. Commenter 2. Wow, the fact that his own mom testified against him essentially picking the shitty son over the good son, that is horrible. It made me feel so sad and hollow inside. I can't even begin to imagine how your boyfriend must feel. I don't know if I could ever forgive that either. I see stuff like this so often though. Parents take their obedient, loyal children for granted while they move heaven and earth to help the rotten ones. You sound like an amazing girlfriend. Hopefully your family can welcome him with open arms and give him the kind of love and support that he's been denied. Reply. His attorney warned again and again that his mother was not neutral and that she was not innocent in this. As much as he tried to prepare him for his mom turning on him, he just wasn't ready. It totally destroyed him inside. Commenter 3. This was exactly my thoughts. Her punishment will be having to live with that decision for the rest of her life. It would be so tough having to choose between going through a divorce and cutting ties with the majority of her family versus doing the right thing and saving the relationship with her one son. I would hope that in that situation I would do the right thing, but there might be more barriers than we know about in her moral predicament. I suspect that the majority of people who are emotionally vulnerable or easily coerced would probably side with their partner in this situation. You'd have to have an ironclad determination and the willpower to uphold your moral beliefs in this situation, and be willing to risk everything for what is right. Reply. TBH, I don't think I can give her that much benefit of the doubt. She had choices. She would not have been financially strained even if she lost her husband. She knew that because my boyfriend always let her know that before things got really ugly when they were still talking. She had a choice, and she know how disgusting a person her husband is to everybody he comes in contact with. She had a choice and it wasn't a bad choice. She had very good options. I really hate her right now. She hurt her son worse than she will ever know. Commenter 4. I really feel for your BF. I bet he just can't fathom how his mother could do such terrible things. BC, he's not like them. I think he's better off as well. Have you thought of taking him to counseling to deal with it? By the way, it's terrible that he was destroyed. I do think he had no other option but to do what he did. Reply. Yes, it was easy for me to tell him to go ahead with the lawsuit and crush them, but none of us saw that he would be the one to take the blows that he did. When I see how he doesn't sleep at all, it's hard not to second guess everything and wonder if maybe there wasn't another way. There wasn't, but you still wonder if there was something you didn't see. Commenter 5. I think both you and your boyfriend did the right thing. If his family wasn't willing to support him and blame his brother like they should have in the first place, then there wasn't anything else you could have done without your boyfriend just having to take the abuse. I'm so sorry that it's been so hard on the two of you, but hopefully you'll find some relief in the knowledge that you were totally in the right here. Reply. That and also the people at school who vouched for him to help him get a job when they made him unemployable told him he absolutely had to sue to clear his name or this would follow him forever. He had no choice when you think about it. But you know it sucks that his family knows how he is a sensitive person with a big heart and they totally exploited that by hitting him where it hurts. They treated his big heart like it was a weakness and just attacked. That drives me so insanely mad. Stories number 8. Entitled office worker thinks he should get to take home gluten-free pizza as a leftover that was not ordered or paid by him before the office even eats. I work in a weird sales job. I have been here going on 33 years. The ages in the office goes from 20 to 90. When people work together for 40 years, everybody knows everything about each other. It really is gossip central. I feel like I work in a geriatric high school sometimes. We order lunch for the office at least 2 times a month, it's usually pizza or sandwiches. We have a few people with dietary restrictions and we order kosher, gluten-free and vegan. I make sure everybody is covered. Since I never know how many people are going to be in the office, we always order extra and there's always leftovers for people to take home. Since the specialty food is very expensive, we keep it at reception. Last week, I heard someone arguing with the receptionist. He was trying to take the specialty food, which is not ordered for him. When I tried to interject, he started screaming at me telling me that there's more than enough specialty food and there's no reason why he can't have it. I calmly explained to him that is ordered for the people who need the dietary restrictions and that there is more than enough pizza for him to take home. He was screaming at a level I can't even describe considering it's about crappy pizza. Well, like every other gossip item in my office, everyone wanted to talk about him taking pizza. Unfortunately, the whole office knows that this gentleman packs pizza in a travel cooler before anybody has actually eaten. He wraps it in tinfoil and takes it home. He's been doing this for years. This is not a money issue, he is just cheap. He is quite well off. The next day, I tried to discuss with him in his office with the door closed that he couldn't talk like that to anybody and explained the specialty food was ordered for people who have dietary restrictions. Once again he starts screaming at me that there's more than enough specialty pizza and there's no reason why he can't have it. I haven't lost my temper in the office in over 8 years. I do my best to be calm and even-toned at all times, but it came out of me like hot lava. I started screaming back that the entire office knows that he's stealing the pizza and it has to stop. He's more than welcome to take pizza home after everyone has eaten. He was quite shocked that the whole office knows. It seems odd he would be surprised considering he whips out aluminum foil to wrap it in. The next morning he asks to speak to me and then begins to cry to tell me he's sorry, he doesn't know why he does it and he will do better. I felt awful. I felt about 2 inches big. That's not who I am and I needed to do better. For the last week, I have just been a mess. I feel terrible that I yelled at him. I kept telling my boss maybe I should apologize again. Well, my boss called me last night to tell me that he caught him stealing paper towels off the cleaning people's cart last night. He was loading paper towels in a big bag. Well, I no longer feel bad. Happy news, boss gave me the day off. What are people thinking? Comments. Commenter 1. First off, I want to have a beer with you BC, you sound like an awesome guy. The geriatric HS comment had me rolling. Sounds like the guy has some mental health issues. Never apologize for holding people accountable for their actions, someone has to. Commenter 2. Oh come on, he's a thief and he knows it. You have nothing to feel bad about. Commenter 3. Don't feel bad about losing your temper. It is hard to stay calm and even-keeled when a person is screaming in your face. No need to apologize to him at all. You did it once. I imagine he thought it was about to be fired is why he came to apologize to you. And considering your boss caught him stealing paper towels, now he just might be. Stories number 9. Aita for telling my fiancé we should call the wedding off if she doesn't approve of my female best man. So I 28M proposed to my girlfriend Jasmine 24F in March. Earlier this week she and I were talking about wedding plans and she already picked out who her bridesmaids were gonna be and was questioning me about my groomsmen to see who'd walk with who and all that. I told her who I wanted and let her know that my best man was actually going to be my friend Kate 27. Jasmine kind of freaked and was really adamant about her not being the BM. I asked her why and she listed off a lot of reasons, none of which I believe. She said it'll look weird in the photos, it'll be weird when Kate has to walk down the aisle with her maid of honor, that she doesn't want Kate to be distracting to guests, that Kate's too short WTF. To stand next to a bunch of 6 feet guys. The reasons were ridiculous, and I told her as much. She told me I should respect her wishes for the wedding and gave me suggestions for other BMs. I know the real reason might be jealousy, but I don't want to just drop it and go along with her insecurities. We ended up getting into a big argument. Jazz was upset that I wasn't budging on my stance and I was mad she was acting so irrational. She was being really accusatory about why I wanted Kate in the wedding so bad. I finally told her if she doesn't want to let me have this one thing maybe there shouldn't be a wedding at all. She got really angry and told me to just leave our apartment. I've been couch surfing at a friend's for the past couple days, not Kate. Last time I tried to talk to Jazz she asked if I was ready to apologize and I said no, cause I don't want her to think she was right about forbidding me from letting Kate be in the wedding. And before anyone asks, no, Kate and I have never been sexual or romantic. She's been one of my closest friends and introduced me to my current social circle. I used to be an awkward nerdy guy who had trouble making friends, now I'm an awkward nerdy guy with a social life. We survived grad school together and she's been with me through high and low parts of life and it seems insane to not include her in my wedding. Jazz and Kate know each other but aren't friends, and over time Jazz got used to me having a close female friend without being jealous/mistrusting, or so I thought. Edit. I should mention, Jasmine has never acted this way before and is usually pretty easygoing and understanding. And she didn't so much as kick me out as she said, well, maybe you should just go then, and I called her bluff and left. She tried to get me to come back and also apologize, but we're both hard-headed when it comes to what we want. I don't want to call off the wedding and I get why Jazz was upset by me saying we should, but I wanted her to know how serious I was. Edit 2, no idea if anyone will read this. I didn't want to make a whole update post since it's only been a day, but anyways. I went back home today after cooling off and Jazz and I had a long talk and I'm not going into the details. TLDR, we're not calling off the wedding, but we're gonna talk about this more and try to come up with a mutual solution. No idea what that is yet. And just to address a few things I've seen a lot of. No, Kate is not single. Jazz and Kate are friendly, but they aren't friends. I'm not very close to any of Jazz's friends either. Kate and I have known each other for almost 7 years. I've been with Jazz for 2. I am not attracted to Kate and we're not going to run off into the sunset together. Stop watching bad rom-coms. It's 2020. I can be friends with a woman without wanting to sleep with her. I'm not choosing another woman over Jazz. If Kate were a man and Jazz didn't want him in the wedding, I'd have a right to be pissed. But since Kate's a woman suddenly I don't love my fiancé enough. That's bullshit. Oh, and if you've implied I'm gonna have an affair/already cheated. Fuck off. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. NTA. This wedding is just as much your day as it is hers, and you absolutely deserve to have someone up there that you trust as your best man. Your fiancé needs to not only recognize that, but figure out whatever insecurity is causing her to lash out in this manner. Commenter 2. I really don't think it's insecurities as much as wanting a picture-perfect traditional wedding party, bridezilla. But what will other people think? And the pictures won't match man, woman, she said it herself, when she mentioned them walking down the aisle. Commenter 3. NTA. My best man was a woman. She's outlasted all my relationships since I was 15. I got married in my mid-40s. Anyone that doesn't let you pick the representative of your choice for one of the most important moments of your life, it is your wedding too, may not possibly be good to marry. Commenter 4. Nah. I know I'm going to be crucified, but I don't necessarily see this as a big red flag. Provided, that is, that Jazz is okay with your friendship in all other respects. Having a female best man is, obviously, against tradition. And because it's against tradition and a rare sight to see, you just know there would be people raising eyebrows and whispering. So many people who don't know you well, extended cousins of the bride, for example, may think there's a story going on there. I wouldn't want to walk down the aisle to whispers, or see people give me sympathetic looks on my freaking wedding day. I'm not saying that behavior is okay, or that you should care what other people think, especially when they're wrong. But I could see Jazz being upset about it. Final update. My fiancé and I ended up making up and reconciling a few days later. We were talking compromises and it was still a touchy subject, but I thought it was going good and we'd recover. I wish I could leave it at that. She's now my ex-fiancée. A little over 2 weeks after our fight, a friend of Jazz contacted me. She told me Jasmine had been venting to her friends over the Kate situation and she couldn't keep quiet any longer because it wasn't fair to me. This friend sent me messages between Jasmine and them where Jasmine is essentially talking about not trusting me and Kate and saying some pretty derogatory things about her. If that was it, I'd be angry but not furious. Long story short, the conversation turns into some confusing conversation I didn't have much context for, but I got the gist. The friend that sent me the messages filled me in with what she knew. Basically, Jazz had an affair before we got engaged. It had allegedly been just one time with some guy she doesn't talk to anymore, but I don't know what to believe. Based on the messages, it seems like that was the case. Apparently all of her friends knew about this and I was being played the whole time. I talked to Jazz and she denied it, but I told her I didn't care, she needed to leave. She was throwing a fit and refused to, so I left my own home again because of her. Told her I'd tell everyone what she did if she didn't pack up her shit and go by the time I returned. It worked. 2 days later I came back and she was gone. She's tried contacting me to set things right, but I'm not interested. She can keep the ring for all I care at this point, I just don't want to see her yet. I felt so stupid and worthless and embarrassed. I didn't tell anyone the reason we broke it off. No idea what Jazz is telling people, and I don't care. The past month and a half has been a nightmare, but I've been slowly recovering my pride, and I'm trying to convince myself what she did was her own fault, not mine. It works about half the time. And because I know some of you are going to ask because you think this is some shitty fucking rom-com, I didn't go running to Kate. I've hardly spoken to her or anyone else for a while now. I've been enjoying quarantine and being left alone. That's my final update on the situation. Those of you who said Jazz was being paranoid because she had something to hide can go pat yourselves on the back. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Sorry to hear that, man. It seems like she was totally projecting onto you and Kate. BC she cheated, which happens quite a lot with cheaters. You did the right thing and will be better off for it even though it sucks right now. Reply. Thank you. I'm going to hijack your comment since it's the most popular. Sorry. I didn't expect to log back on with so much attention on my post. I wasn't even sure if people remembered the first one. I want to say thank you to everyone for all the kind things that have been said. I'm going to go through all the comments, so even if I don't reply, I promise I saw yours. I haven't spoken to almost anyone in my real life about this, so I just needed to tell someone and let it out. I figured Reddit was the best place since I'm anonymous here and the embarrassment won't be as high. And, I know being embarrassed is irrational, but that doesn't mean I can just turn it off. It's been a struggle, but it gets easier, and every day the urge to go and forgive her and beg her to take me back lessens a little bit more. It just sucks, you know. What I'm saying is just, thanks guys. Commenter 2. Damn, so you had no red flags she cheated on you. Did you know the guy? Reply. I knew of him, but didn't actually know him. He and my ex were co-workers when it happened. No idea if there was an emotional side of the affair before it progressed. Looking back, there are red flags I didn't see until now. I trusted her, so I was blind to everything else. Commenter 3. Sucks to be in the situation. OP. Also sucks having TI sift through a bunch of shitty advice on Reddit to get to anything substantial. A lot of Redditors have no idea what they are talking when it comes to relationships. The least you can do, however, is vent to Kate a little. Having one friend to do that helps with maintaining your sanity. Reply. Haha, this is the truest comment I've come across. But with this update I've gotten a lot of messages from people who have been through the same thing. I appreciate the advice, but the camaraderie and sorry dude that sucks comments are pretty nice. NGL. Sometimes you just have to feel like shit, you know. Stories number 10. Aita for not cancelling plans to be there for the birth of a friend's baby. So I 27F reconnected with a childhood acquaintance 29F recently when she moved to my city. My dad and her mom used to work together. We weren't close growing up, but when she moved to my city around 5 months pregnant, she reached out. I know how lonely it can be to move somewhere new, so I agreed to hang out and tried to help her settle in. When I moved here, I didn't know anyone either. And now I'm the only one she knows. At first it was fine. I did little things like I drove her to look at apartments she didn't have a car, helped her run errands, and my dad even built her furniture when she got an apartment. My dad came to visit me for the weekend and we spent it helping her settle in. She has no support system, the baby's dad is out of the picture, and she's unemployed, not sure how she's funding everything. I genuinely wanted to be kind and supportive. I even introduced her to some of my friends and she was so rude to them and then wouldn't stop talking poorly about them. But then things escalated. She started demanding I go with her everywhere, doctor's appointments, grocery shopping, even to do nails. She started jokingly calling the baby our baby because I've been around so much. She'll say things like our baby is craving fries from McDonald's and beg me to get them for her. She even offers to pay me. She refuses to use meal delivery apps because she doesn't trust that they won't do something to the food, she says. This has been going on for months. Fast forward, I'm a bridesmaid in my best friend's wedding and flying home Puerto Rico for 4 weeks to help with the shower, rehearsal, wedding, and even organizing her closet in her husband's apartment while she's on her honeymoon. They don't live together until after the wedding. When my acquaintance came over and saw me packing, she lost it. She said I never told her about my trip. She said she was counting on me to be there for the birth, which will definitely happen while I'm away. I leave tomorrow and she's ready to pop any minute, and even expected me to move in with her for the first month after the baby was born to help out, since I have nanny experience. She also told me she was planning on me watching the baby on the days I work from home 2 days of the week. I told her I wasn't canceling my flight or shortening my trip, and now she's furious, saying I'm abandoning her and the baby. That I'm all they have. She's posting about me on social media saying I betrayed her. Her mom, who lives in our state just 4.5 hours away, is commenting and encouraging her. I told my mother about this and she also said I was a bad friend to leave her and her baby when they need me, that she agrees moving in is a lot but I should be there during birth, only travel for the wedding, and then come back to help with meals, etc., and told me she won't be picking me up at the airport tomorrow because she knows I'll do the right thing. So. Aita. Comments. Commenter 1. NTA. I could barely make it through this with how awful she sounds. And this isn't even a friend, it's an acquaintance. I can understand why the baby daddy is out of the picture and she has no other support system to the extent that she's now relying on a childhood acquaintance. I even introduced her to some of my friends and she was so rude to them and then wouldn't stop talking poorly about them. Yeah, not loving that. Trying to trash your friends to convince you to spend more time with her. She refuses to use meal delivery apps because she doesn't trust that they won't do something to the food, she says. Honestly, this whole thing just sounds like she's trying to control you and get you to do shit that's totally unnecessary. When my acquaintance came over and saw me packing, she lost it. She said I never told her about my trip. This person is insane. Expected me to move in with her. She also told me she was planning on me watching the baby on the days I work from home 2 days of the week. Fucking run, OP. I would have blocked her as soon as she left. She's posting about me on social media saying I betrayed her. I try not to throw this word around lightly, but this is a narcissist. Told me she won't be picking me up at the airport tomorrow because she knows I'll do the right thing. I'm sorry, your mom also appears to have lost her mind. I'm not even joking. I would block this person and never speak to her again. You've already done too much and she obviously doesn't appreciate it. She was instantly ready to publicly smear you when she didn't get her way. Commenter 2. Add to that, you cannot babysit while working from home. A newborn will need a lot of attention you need to be focusing on your job. I agree, run, this friend has far too many red flags attached. And, why did she move to your area with no support, and no income? Why did she not move near her mother or other family? Commenter 3. What kind of fatal attraction gaslighting nonsense is this? No, you're NTA. You did not agree to be this woman's life partner. You did not agree to be her live-in nanny for the first month. You did not agree to share this baby with her. I mean, do you really even consider her a friend? You are under no obligation to do anything for this woman, and it is absolutely insane that she and your mother seem to think the fact that you have helped her out in the past somehow makes her entitled to more help from you in the future. This is bizarre, and it's even more bizarre than both your moms are supporting this insanity. NTA, just to reiterate. Reply, thank you. My mother said, and I quote, it's easier to just help. Stories number 11. I ruined my cousin's wedding with screenshots before it could happen. My then cousin-in-law-to-be gave me the wedding invitation herself and it said that women should wear white and very light pastels. When I asked her about it, she told me she got inspired by Desi wedding videos and she will have a bold residential wedding dress with a full-length skirt. But since she still wanted to stand out, she thought every woman should have light pastels or white dresses so we can share the happiness of being a bride ourselves with her. Sounds lovely, right? I was obviously skeptical, so I made a photo of the invitation and asked her in Messenger to clarify some more that she's sure I can wear white because I want to wear my grandmother's wedding dress, and then I took screenshot of that conversation. I am my grandmother's only granddaughter and I've been promised that I can wear her wedding dress in my wedding day when I was very little because my mother and godmother my aunt didn't want it. My grandmother is still alive to enforce it, too. It's a very simple and modest dress, because my grandmother is a very simple and modest woman and she was also very poor when she got married. Cousin-in-law to be asked to wear it. My godmother's son is her fiancé and was told no. I thought she was over it. Turns out, I was wrong. So I took my grandmother's wedding dress. Didn't do anything, no cleaning or resizing or anything. Just put it in my closet. This was last week. Today my family and her family grilled me over open flame publicly on Facebook for trying to wear grandma's wedding dress and show up and hurt the bride who wanted to wear it on her wedding day. I have released the screenshots and photos. My cousin is newly single. Turns out, his bride didn't like me from the start because I made a face when we first met. I had a cold. I didn't want to sneeze in her face and make a bad impression. My bad, I guess. She ruined her own wedding over me having a cold 3 years ago. I congratulated her before blocking her. Like damn. Edit about the fallout. Okay, so everyone is very embarrassed for my cousin because apparently his now ex specifically went through the trouble of making one single wedding invitation just to fuck me over. Had this whole elaborate plot of dumping red wine over it so I'll never get to wear it to my own wedding. Who does that? How did he not notice? Also, I was supposed to be a bridesmaid apparently, but nobody told me. They talked about me behind my back about not helping with anything at all and constantly missing important things but no one asked me why. It's because I didn't know. I was never informed. Side note, she has a grandmother who is now very disappointed she did not want to wear her own grandmother's wedding dress. I can understand that one, it's hideous. But still, trying to take a family dress is kinda trashy. Also, for PPL fighting over this in the comments, I did not intend to wear it at all and I have never told anyone else I will wear it to the wedding either. I gave absolutely no indication of it. I just took it from one closet and put it in another. If nobody checked on the wedding dress specifically I would have put it back after and nobody would have been wiser. I have a beautiful pink dress I bought for this occasion specifically because my grandmother and I went dress shopping together and bought dresses made of the exact same material but in different styles. My grandmother is very opinionated on just what shades are appropriate for a wedding so it wasn't even a light pink or pastel. It also had roses sewn on it. Also for the people being salty about her not getting the dress, stay salty. It's a family dress from my grandmother. Not hers. She has her own family with multiple dresses she could have had as it is or even altered for this. She wanted the one thing she couldn't have because she knew it's not hers to have. There's only this one dress for me to inherit and I've been in love with it all my life. Even if she had no other dress to inherit and where I'd never have let her wear the dress I wanted to wear on my own wedding since I knew what a wedding is. On the other side, she had a beautiful white wedding dress ready to be worn, absolutely nothing like my grandmother's dress and made with her own preferences in mind in my cousin's dime. He financed it out of pocket. She didn't want my grandmother's dress, she didn't like simplistic dresses like that when she had the chance to choose. Edit 2. She asked about wearing the dress months ago when the planning started and was told no. I took a picture of the one single invitation she made to fuck me over specifically because I can't stress this enough. Then I took screenshots of the messenger conversation. I asked to wear the dress to the wedding. I never intended to wear it. I never told anyone else but my cousin's ex. If she was actually fine with it none of the drama would have happened. I would have went in a pink dress and no one would have been any wiser. She wanted the drama. Was I meaner than necessary because I never liked her? Maybe. But at the core of it, if she didn't want to cause drama and ruin both the dress and my reputation none of this would have happened. If she backed out at the last minute and didn't try to start a war against me she couldn't win, or at the very least not publicly, then none of this would have happened. She started it, I finished it. There's no high road to take. I'm no one's punching bag, not physically, not emotionally and not mentally. If she just banked on humiliating me at the wedding even then none of this would have happened because I would have been wearing neither white nor grandma's wedding dress. Don't dish it out if you can't take it. Also, don't lie with stakes this high if getting evidence is this easy. And no, my cousin didn't call everything off and broke up with her because of me. Think about all the effort and scheming that went into this whole thing that blew up in her face and ask yourself this, would you want to marry a woman like that? Comments. Commenter 1. Haha brilliant. At least you screenshotted everything. She sounds full of drama if she gets the hump after just one meeting. Commenter 2. I read one story some time ago where brother's fiancée was trying to force OOP to let her wear their mother's wedding dress designer gown. Mom died several years earlier. OOP got sick of the hounding from her family, so she had a friend take a bunch of pictures of OOP wearing her mother's dress. She posted all over social media how much she loved this dress, tagging future SIL, as well as SIL's family and friends. She kept the dress because SIL was distraught that OOP ruined her chance to show off the dress. Commenter 3. How quick was the fallout when you showed the screenshots to the family and how did she respond? Commenter 4. Why would you wear a wedding dress to a wedding though? None of this would have happened if you just worn a different not wedding dress. Doesn't sound like her invite was encouraging white wedding dresses, just white or pastel. I think you're the one causing drama here. Editing to say that based on the update both OP and bride are jerks. OP should just decline to attend the wedding where she doesn't want to be and isn't going to be treated respectfully. Stories number 12. Aita for refusing to reconnect with my mom after finding out she only gave me up for adoption to chase a man. I was adopted at birth. My parents never kept it from me. I grew up knowing I was chosen, and I never felt like something was missing because my adoptive parents gave me a loving and stable home, so much to the point where I never seriously even considered searching for my birth parents. But last year curiosity got the better of me and I took one of those 23andMe DNA tests, mostly to learn about medical history and heritage. A few days after I took my tests I've seen that my mother has messaged me and while I was a bit surprised at first I did decide to reply to her. She said she always wondered about me and that she hoped I had a good life. At first I was a little cautious for obvious reasons but she did seem genuine so we exchanged numbers and started messaging and eventually even called and later on the calls turned into FaceTimes. I thought that this could be something nice and healing, but then she told me why she gave me up and the reason really hurt me. It wasn't because she was struggling or wanted a better future for me like you see in the movies, it was because she was in love with a man who didn't want any kids. When she got pregnant she didn't tell him and says she hid it from him. How do you hide a pregnancy from someone for 9 months? Once I was born she gave me up for adoption so that she didn't lose him. Said it was a hard decision but the way she spoke about it was like she was reminiscing about a great romance and not about giving away her own child. And truth be told this really hurt me. I tried to hide it but couldn't. All this time she didn't give me up because she was struggling or wanted a better life for me, she gave me up because I was inconvenient for her life. I told her I needed space and that I couldn't act like nothing was wrong. She said I was being unfair because she was just young and scared. I talked about this to my adoptive parents and they're being supportive regardless of my decision but they want to stay neutral as it's between me and my mother. Aita for walking away from her after finding out this. Comments. Commenter 1. OMG totally NTA. I'll give her credit for telling you the truth. But regardless what her reasons were, you don't owe her anything. She's the one who chose not to keep you. You do what's best for you. Luckily, it sounds like you have great parents. Reply. Yeah, on one hand it's nice knowing but Jesus what kind of reason is that for leaving a child? As for my parents yeah they're amazing I really couldn't be any happier and love them so much. Commenter 2. She does not get to decide what is unfair. You put yourself out on a limb to learn more, you learned more, now climb back down from that limb and have a great life with your great parents. Reply. Exactly. And the reason she did it so crazy, young and dumb or not it doesn't matter. It's an entire life that she just threw away like I didn't matter whatsoever. Commenter 3. NTA, did your bio mother mention if she is still with the man who was worth giving up your own child? I wonder how he would feel knowing all of this and that he has a child. Your adoptive parents sound like wonderful people and I'm glad they have been so loving and supportive. Stories number 13. Aita for allowing my husband's mistress to meal prep for him and the kids. My husband has been cheating on me for years with different women. Due to this I've completely shut off from him. We don't have a sexual relationship but we do an amazing job at being parents. Our kids love us and that's all that matters in the grand scheme of things. I am not dating anyone, this isn't an open relationship. Every time he cheats he acts more remorseful but I've come to terms that I can't save him. He's seeing this woman Cherry and she's a cook and baker. We were in a little tussle once but that's in the past. I've moved on. I don't like her but I don't hate her. Few weeks back I caught him eating in his car and realized it was from her, the packaging gave him away. She has been sending him goodie bags and now full meals. I told him going forward I'm no longer cooking for him and he needs to let her do everything including meals for the kids. I really put my foot down and did some petty things that I'm not proud of but it worked. I told him if she loves him she will do it but I'm done. Well I don't know what he did to convince her but at least 3 times a week they get meals from Cherry. He brings the container and plates the food, the kids are happy because they think they are getting takeout. I don't partake. On the other days I cook for just the kids and myself. My husband on the other hand got mad and said I manipulated him into taking advantage of Cherry and kept asking me what do I get out of these mind games. I told my best friend about the whole ordeal and she's upset with me saying that what if Cherry spikes the kids' meal. I don't think she would do it. Aita for letting this happen. Consensus. YTA for staying with the children in this toxic marriage. Some of the comments. Why not getting a divorce already? I'm not giving up my house and leaving with half. I hope I get under his skin and he gives up everything. If a throuple would be a possibility, we live in a small town. She tries to get with everybody, no thanks. She's a professional mistress. She'll move on from him soon. Somebody says to take the money she saves on groceries for a divorce. Groceries higher than for I have zero issues. Until she jumps on her next target I'm good. Somebody comments to get a job so she isn't reliant on her husband. Heavily downvoted. I provide. Read that again. A cheater doesn't provide for me. I'm there for my kids and my assets. The internet makes everything look so easy. It's not. You think someone that gets repeatedly cheated on never thought about divorce? It's not in the cards now. Example of OOP fighting in the comments with people pointing out that this whole thing is toxic for their children. Heavily downvoted. Girl, they are young. Do you think this will be happening forever? You keep harping on this one point. I'm blocking you. These comments are boosting me to leave, but it's not black and white. We have built a good amount together. Financially it's a stupid idea. Update. I cheated on my husband and he caught us. I was sick and tired of feeling unloved and unwanted. I was sick of being a doormat and taking him back every single fucking time. I don't know how I feel right now, but I know it's not regret or shame, it's something else. I invited a guy I've been talking to over at the house. I knew my husband was coming home at 5 and I still went through with it. Keeping personal things personal. He saw everything, and I mean everything, and heard as well. I have to face the reality of my situation. I'm not shocked he's hurt, that was my intention, but the hypocrisy is astonishing. He's been crying the entire night. I've cried for years. Somehow I am the scum, not him. After he's been playing house with this woman and having dinner by her house. It's 12 a.m. right now and all I can say is that I'm lucky my husband and the guy didn't thrash it out. It was incredibly awkward. My mind is racing. I feel a bit scared, empowered, and uncertain. I haven't been steady in ages. Comments. I don't feel icky. He's trying to guilt trip me. Guilty of what? He's been doing this for years. It's not the same. Update 2. It's been 10 months or so since I've last posted and a lot has changed. I'm here to tell you that I am getting a divorce and starting the moving on process. After posting on Reddit I received a lot of backlash and DMs that were a bit overboard. However, there were some that made me see life in a different perspective and I realized being petty doesn't serve me nor my kids. A month after my OG post I stopped the kids from eating Cherry's meals. It was childish to drag my kids into that mess. I'm just grateful they are small enough and don't understand what's happening with their parents. I let her cook for him and take care of his laundry. There is no way I'm slaving over a man who hates me. My job is to take care of my kids, not a grown adult who cannot respect his wife. I'm no longer cook, therapist, financial planner, assistant and maid. Just mother of his children and soon-to-be ex-wife. Well, to rip the band-aid off I cheated back and it didn't go as planned. The petty spirit in me did it in the worst way possible. I invited a gentleman over when I knew my husband would be coming in and he saw and heard everything. He caught me in the act, to keep it real with you all. I'm lucky to say that it could have went way worse than it did, but I don't feel guilty, just indifferent. I can say he isn't taking it well, and before bed he bawled his eyes out and vented for what felt like a millennium. I am the scum, I am the traitor. It's funny, not in a hysterical way, but I've been crying for years and he's only cried once. It's almost as if he forgot he was the cheater who caused all of this. I don't know how to explain, but I don't regret cheating back. It made me feel empowered. I felt satisfaction watching him break down because that used to be me. The morning afterwards he woke up begging to reconcile, but this taught me I needed to divorce. He's being extra nice, but nice isn't good enough, it's the bare minimum. I had to pause when writing because he called to check up on me at work. He never does this. Not to mention lunch drop-offs and little gifts. I'm not buying it. I know this isn't the update some would want, but the bright side is I'm holding myself accountable and getting that divorce. Comments. About the cheating, well, let me be frank, I can't take back *C king another man in my marital home. I can't take back being spineless, but I can take back my life, my freedom and dignity. I am not as bad as a serial cheater, I will never believe that. That's comparing a thief to a murderer. This is the first time I've done this. Betrayal changes you. I won't lie, it felt good. The weirdest thing was him trying to initiate intimacy in the morning. He seemed triggered when I declined. I never knew cheating back would clear my mind. It's not the best way to handle things. He woke up in the morning trying to initiate intimacy. I was disgusted. Then he had the nerve to look hurt. Years of feeling worthless and undesirable. I have no regrets, I won't be forced to feel like a villain, and I don't consider myself a cheater. He was not a faithful and loyal partner. How is it worse when he's a serial cheater? I cheated one time. He's been doing this for ages. I am not worse than him, the things he has done I can't share because I have some shame. Hiding cheating doesn't mean you have more morals. A win is what I say it is. I feel better, it's been years being humiliated and promised that change will come. I am the change. No, I cannot be as bad as someone who has cheated multiple times. What makes me disgusting? Is it because I'm a woman who cheated back in my marital home? I can never take back the f***ing. Yes, it is justifiable he gets to hurt me to my core and I just take it over and over and over again. No. You are entitled to your opinion, but no one will convince me this is the same thing. It was worth it. Thanks. One decision doesn't define me. All this heat for me and not the serial cheater. Call it whatever you want if it makes you feel better, but being betrayed makes you do things you wouldn't think of. I hope you never get cheated on. About Cherry, when we had a little tussle, she mentioned that he paid her rent. I called her a professional mistress because this isn't the first taken man she's messed with. She's known for doing that. He paid it only once to my knowledge. I stopped the joint account once I found out about other women. What about the children? I always try my best to be happy around them. They never suspect anything is wrong. My kids are very young and in their own little bubble. They are vibrant and happy kids. This would never affect them. My kids are loved. The happiest kiddos you'll ever meet. They are so kind and sweet. They are very young and do not know what's going on. My children won't cheat in the future because I'm getting a divorce. Stop bringing up my kids into this. They are happy and have an amazing life. My kids are extremely young and we will be getting divorced. Stop projecting your broken home mommy and daddy issues onto me and my children. We won't be like you. Stories number 14. Aita for posting a picture of my stepdad walking me down the aisle. I 23F have a very strained and rocky relationship with my bio dad 45M. When I was young, he cheated on my mom 45F and basically abandoned me and my little sister, Belle 21F, for his new wife, Amanda 35F. My mom remarried to my stepdad, Jason 48M, when I was 10, 2 years after my dad left, and Jason has been more of a dad to us than my bio dad ever was. My bio dad didn't come to my wedding, so honestly I don't even know why I'm typing this, but here we are. I recently married the love of my life, Daniel 24M, on August 1st. The day was magical. Jason walked me down the aisle, and it meant so much to me. We went to Hawaii for our honeymoon, and when we got back, our photographer sent us a sneak peek of our wedding photos. Obviously, I posted a few, including one of Jason walking me down the aisle. An hour after I posted, Belle called me and asked me to take that particular photo down. She said our dad had called her, saying it was disrespectful to let another man walk me down the aisle. She told him, well, you weren't even at the wedding. He apparently responded with, I would have gone if she'd let me walk her down the aisle. For the record, there was absolutely no way I was going to let him do that. He hasn't been there for me in years, and Jason has been the one who's actually acted like a father. Now Belle says I'm being petty and rubbing it in his face by posting the picture, and some extended family have started making comments about how I shouldn't air family drama online. I don't see how posting a photo from my own wedding is airing drama, but now I'm wondering if I'm missing something. So AIK. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, NTA. And, your dad did walk you down the aisle. Just because he's not related by DNA doesn't mean he's not family. As you said, bio male was MIA. Jason stepped up and took over. That's a true parent. Reply, that I know. I do call Jason my dad, just for the sake of not confusing people, I used his name. I just feel guilty in a way, YK. OOP on her sister, Belle's relationship with their biological father and his wife, Amanda. Reply, Belle is close to Amanda, Belle kinda always been closer to them, since I guess she has forgiven them, for what happened and which I haven't. But I know Belle wouldn't make something like this up, or at least I hope. I didn't speak to my father directly since I have his number block. Commenter 2, NTA if your bio father feels like this was disrespectful, then he needs to look at himself. He should have been a better father, and that would have been him in the picture instead of your stepfather. Did he not go to your wedding because he wouldn't be walking you down the aisle? Or did he not go for another reason? He can't ride 2 horses with one ass. He can't be a shitty father and then expect to get all the perks of being a good dad. Reply, he didn't go only because Amanda wasn't allowed to be in the wedding. He was invited, along with Amanda to not have drama, but here we are lol, and Amanda wanted a part in the wedding, like how my mom had. Amanda didn't go dress shopping with me, she didn't have a say in anything, and frankly my dad didn't like it, so he told me he just wasn't coming. Commenter 3, what's the backstory for your sister wanting you to take it down? She needs validation and so she is taking dad's side. He's on your Facebook. You have a FB relationship with your dad. I need to know more if you can. Can you provide more context? Reply, Belle though he isn't the greatest, still loves our dad, and forgave him for what happened, she has always been closer with him and Amanda. My dad did have me on Facebook, after I posted this and read some comments, I blocked him. Update, Aita for posting a photo of my stepdad walking me down the aisle. I honestly didn't expect all the comments and kind words on my original post so thank you. I ended up speaking with both my dad and Belle about the whole situation. First, with Belle, I told her to stay out of it altogether. I said if she's on our dad's side so much, she can have him walk her down the aisle at her wedding. I also made it clear that I'm not going to punish her for still talking to him, but I'm also not going to pretend he's been a father to me when he frankly never was. She didn't have much to say after that. Then I called my dad. That conversation went, about how you'd expect. He started with, one day you'll understand, and that I needed to learn respect. I told him cheating wasn't respectful, and neither was abandoning your kids, and that he hasn't been there for me since I was 10. Jason, however, has been there every step of the way, and he is my father to me. That's when my dad hung up on me. LOL. Amanda then made a passive-aggressive Facebook post saying, no matter things that happened in the past, you'll always be family. I'm about 99% sure that was about me, but I digress. At the end of the day, I'm still not taking the photo down. I don't want to make Jason upset if I do, and he deserves to be celebrated. I'm not letting my bio dad rewrite history just because it makes him uncomfortable. Top comments. Commenter 1, go you for standing your ground. Family isn't always blood, it's those who show up and stand by you. Commenter 2, good for you. You should tell Amanda, no matter the future, once a deadbeat and a cheater always a deadbeat and a cheater. Stand your ground and keep honoring Jason. Commenter 3, oh my. NTA, and you're fine. Bio dad is upset that this makes him look bad. Too damn bad. It's not your job to protect his reputation. If his past actions reflect badly on him, oh well. Commenter 4, being a dad is different from being a sperm donor. A dad is the person who is always there, and I mean always. Good for you and your dad. Stories number 15. Aita for snapping at my neighbor after she kept trying to make me her free-made babysitter and pet sitter all in one. So this lady next door has been slowly pushing it. At first it was like, can you grab my mail since you're already walking by? Fine, whatever. Then it turned into her leaving her dog leash in my hand once and just walking away like I was automatically gonna pet sit while she ran inside. Another time she asked if I could just watch her kid for 15 minutes while she ran errands, and it turned into over an hour. I finally snapped when she tried to dump a whole list on me like feed her cat, water her plants, and maybe watch her kid all at once cause she's so busy. I told her I'm not her maid or her sitter and she needs to stop acting like I'm on call for her. She went off about how I'm a terrible neighbor and now she's gossiping with the lady across the street about me. Even my mom said I could have been nicer, but I honestly don't think I was wrong. Edit. Wow, this kinda blew up. TYSM to everyone who commented. I was honestly second-guessing myself, but reading through made me realize I'm not crazy. LOL. A lot of PPL said it's about boundaries, and yeah, that's true. TBH, she just kept inching further every time I said yes to small stuff. To clear up a couple things, I never agreed to be her sitter, she just sorta shoved stuff in my lap. Like with the dog leash thing, she literally walked off before I could even say anything. And with the 15-minute kid watch, I was stuck over an hour, couldn't even leave cause I didn't want to abandon the kid. Anyway, I'm not gonna engage with her drama or gossip. I'll just keep it polite but firm. Lesson learned, say no earlier. I appreciate you all tons. Comments. Commenter 1. NTA. That lady saw a chill neighbor and thought free labor. You set a boundary after she pushed way past reasonable. That's not rude, that's survival. Reply. Yeah, that's exactly how it felt like. She clocked me as an easy target and just kept piling more and more on me till I finally lost it. I'm not rude for drawing the line, I'm just tired of people thinking kindness equals free labor. Commenter 2. NTA. She's a bully. She pushes herself onto people in the hopes that most of us don't like confrontation, so we just don't say anything, it feels not worth it. Then, if the bully does get pushed back, they use shame. Let her be mad. She's pissed she got called out more than anything. If you see the same neighbors she was complaining to about you, take them some cookies and apologize for them having to be dragged into anything. You say something like, I'm so sorry you got dragged into the drama. I was trying to stay neighborly, but when she started asking me to watch her children and her pets, I had to say no, but apparently I was not allowed. I'm just sorry it wasted any of your time. Please enjoy the cookies. And walk away quick. It's not a discussion. You are the quiet, nice, keep to themselves neighbors. For the actual neighbors, be grateful she won't ask anymore, and in a few months, when she thinks you might let her use you again and she tries to ask a favor, just respond with, are you kidding me? And walk away. Don't engage with her at all. She is not a good person. Reply, yeah, that's exactly how it feels. She really thought I'd just keep saying yes forever because I don't like conflict. I love your idea with the cookies too, that's such a smooth way to kill the drama without giving her any more room to twist things. Commenter 3. NTA. Nope, nope and nope. You give that lady an inch, she is going to take all the miles. You did the right thing. Reply, thank you. That's exactly how it felt, like every little favor just kept snowballing into something bigger. Glad I finally drew the line before it went any further. Stories number 16. Aita for not defending our relationship more. I 44F live in a small town, population about 2,000. I've been dating my boyfriend 52M for 8 years. We were at a holiday party in December with probably 200 guests. Someone asked when we were planning to get married. BF said never. People continued to press the subject, so I said that neither of us wanted to get married currently, but if it changed we'd be sure to let them know. So BF said, if you ever change your mind about marriage, don't bother talking to me about it. Just move on and find a man who wants to marry you. Everyone was staring. I cried. We went home. He has brought it up a couple of times since then, but it's not really something I see a point in discussing. He's made it clear from day one that he doesn't want to get married. I don't want to either. I wouldn't have said what he did in public, but it's the truth. The way he said it embarrassed me and it hurt my feelings that he was so flippant about breaking up and going our separate ways after 8 years of being in love, but again it's nothing I didn't know from private conversations. Every Tuesday we have dinner with friends at this Mexican restaurant. So last night at dinner a guy that I know socially from living in the same small town walked up and said that he knew I was exclusively dating BF, but he just wanted to say that I should call him if I ever decided that I wanted a serious relationship. Then he looked at BF and said, nothing personal, man. I know we go way back, they are about the same age and hung out in high school and in their early 20s, but if she ever decides she wants more than casual dating, it would be over between you two anyway. After we got home, BF was upset with me for not making it clear that we have more than a casual relationship. I told him that I wasn't the one who made our relationship status unclear, and if he felt something was unclear or misunderstood he could have set things straight himself. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. LMFAO, the balls on that guy are genuinely impressive. I mean, are you interested? I kinda think you should be. LOL, your BF is temporary, this seems as good a jumping off point as any. Reply, he's good looking, successful, smart, funny, never married, no kids. Was a bit of a womanizer when he was younger, but he's made it pretty clear in the past few years that he's looking to settle down and get married. Checks a lot of boxes if a girl was looking to get married. I'm just not. Commenter 2, if you truly were looking to not be married, your BF wouldn't have made you cry when saying if you ever want to get married you can go find that. However, your BF seems like a douche, I'd leave his ass. Reply, I promise you I most definitely do not want to get married again. I cried because I was embarrassed by what he said, by the way he said it, and the impression that he gave everyone that not getting married was not a mutual decision and was something that he decided, and that I was sitting around hoping he'd change his mind or trying to convince him. Commenter 3, if you don't want to get married that's fine, but find someone who doesn't publicly humiliate you. Commenter 4, that's hilarious. Your boyfriend acted like a prize dickhead, and now he's upset over the fallout. Fuck him. He's shown he's plenty capable of bragging about how he'd never marry you, so let him deal with the reactions. NTA. Update. After posting I did a lot of reflection on our relationship. One day I just packed what I had at his house and brought it all to my house while he was at work. When he came home, I told him that I had moved my things out and I wasn't going to be around anymore. I gave him his house key. BF feels blindsided by my moving out. He doesn't understand how we went from happy and peaceful to me moving out and living an hour away when essentially nothing changed. I still have feelings for him, but it wasn't nearly as painful as I expected it to be. I have too many hard feelings towards him for the way he treated me and my kids, especially in the beginning of our relationship, to try to salvage anything between us. And I most definitely have too much resentment towards his youngest son 24M to ever consider working on things and trying to be anything that resembles a family with either of them. 8 years and I packed everything I had there in 2 hours, like I was never there. During the first couple of years I did tell him how he made me feel, but his answer was always, "This is the deal, take it or leave it." It took 8 years, but I decided to leave it. I suppose at some point I emotionally checked out of the relationship and just sort of let things be. Many of the issues have just sorted themselves out with time, but the underlying hurt is still raw. My house really doesn't feel like home to me anymore. I've been staying with my children who are away from home attending college. I've completely moved out of my house and I officially put it on the market last Friday. For now I'll just commute to work until I figure out what I want to do going forward. Added comments. First, let me say that I'm absolutely amazed by all your kind words and well wishes. I can't believe how kind of supportive you guys have been. I'll address a couple of the common comment. First, I guess the most popular is about the guy from the Mexican restaurant. I've spoken to him since, but it's not the fairy tale ending you guys are dreaming of. I'm definitely not in a place where I'm ready to date, and I can't remember his exact words, but the jest was he'd be happy to take me out sometime, but he was just being dick to ex-BF on purpose because of what he said at the party and other things he'd seen BF do over the years. Very anticlimactic, I'm afraid. Although he does frequently work around where I'm living, so who knows what the future holds. Second, financial concerns. If you guys want to take back all your "I'm proud of you" comments, I understand. I really have no excuse for staying. I'm well educated. I earn a good living, well above 6 figures. I wasn't always, but I literally spent 20 years going back to school time and time again. For the past few years, I've made significantly more money than ex-BF. I really have no excuse for why I stayed so long. Final comments. Commenter 1. Honestly, the fact that you guys have been dating for 8 years and it took you less than 2 hours to pack is very telling. This guy did not give you space or respect in his life. Reply. I always maintained my own home in town and I honestly loved the house I bought for my college-aged kids. I moved all of my life treasures there when I bought it. I had mostly clothes and toiletries at his place. My mail didn't even come to his house. Commenter 2. OP, please. Give yourself some time and TLC. You've made a mess load of changes in your life. Find your new nest and see how you feel, living in your own skin for a while. Indulge in Coco, a few good books. Head out to a plant nursery, or arboretum, and enjoy the smells and colors. Are your kids making any commentary? Glad you're spending some time with them. NTA and congratulations. Reply. I'm sure I'll stay in this house. I loved it when I bought it and still love it now. My son is very supportive, but he's a bit of a mama's boy. He wouldn't be anything else. He has no opinion about anything to do with ex-BF. He just thinks it would be nice if I cook pot roast for dinner. He's bringing his girlfriend. Thanks. My daughter thinks that at some point X and I need to have a conversation to achieve closure. His younger son has also reached out to her. She has essentially put them both in timeout, until they are ready to have respectful conversations and give real apologies. For what it's worth, I'm also in timeout. She gave me the same kind of talk I used to give her about timeout not being a punishment but a time to process strong emotions and reflect on how our actions contributed to the entire situation and decide what we need to do to move forward. That may not be something you can do in a few minutes or even a whole day. Once you are feeling calmer, you can rejoin us, but you are still going to have to spend some quiet time with this to sort things out. And I'm always here to talk and listen, but this isn't something I can do for you. We will revisit this in 5 minutes and then talk about it before bed tonight and then daily so I can help you until you get things sorted out. So that's where we are, daily conversations. Commenter 3. And I most definitely have too much resentment towards his youngest son 24M to ever consider working on things and trying to be anything that resembles a family with either of them. Info. Reply. My husband died. I was a single mom. BF's youngest was 17 when we introduced our kids. He hated me and my children and did anything he could think of to cause us misery. I can't think of everything, but if we were planning to go out to dinner and invited him, sometimes he'd refuse to come if we went. Like he'd say that he'd have dinner with his dad only, and if his dad said okay let's have dinner just us tomorrow, he'd start with the guilt until BF broke our plans. Last time he did that he was 20 or 21, so definitely not a kid. One year he threw a fit at Christmas because he got wind that his dad had got my kids a few things. I had bought stuff for him and his older brother as well. He was 19. BF returned the stuff he got my kids and told me to do the same. Said from then on we'll each only buy for our own kids. For his 21st birthday he had a party at a restaurant on a day I got off late. He told them one less person than needed when he made the reservation, so when I arrived there was no place for me to sit. We went on a vacation that I paid for and invited him on, and he threw a fit because his dad was paying attention to everyone and insisted that he was leaving if BF didn't leave the Airbnb I rented and rent them their own hotel room and not see us until the end of the trip, which BF did. We didn't see each other until we got home. Thank goodness my son had driven his car because my daughter and I had ridden with BF. He would randomly call and tell his dad he wanted to hang out at his house for a bit but wanted me and my kids to leave. BF told us to go out to dinner or something and he'd text when we could come back. I'm ashamed to say I did once before I put my foot down and told BF if we left we wouldn't be coming back. Probably a dozen or more times after that he still called and tried and threatened to never speak to BF again. Probably more stuff, but you get the idea. Stories number 17. Aita for not wanting to cancel weekend plans to my cottage because my girlfriend can't make it. We my GF24F and I26M made plans about 2 months ago to invite 7 of our friends to my family cottage for the weekend. It is a shared cottage with a lot of family going back 4 generations, so really hard to book a weekend on our little Google Calendar unless it's at least 2 months in advance. I worked an extra shift this week to be able to take Saturday off as I normally work Saturdays. We are currently Thursday evening and my girlfriend just let me know that she can't make it this weekend because she has to work both Saturday evening and Sunday morning. I didn't think anything of it, thinking she would just not be coming. She immediately got mad as she was expecting me to cancel this weekend just because she can't make it. Her justification is that she does a lot of me, which she does, and that I should do this for her. I would drop anything to help her or be with her if she needed me, but she's just working. I find it selfish and I don't understand why she doesn't want me to go. TLDR, my girlfriend wants me to cancel the weekend at my cottage because she can't make it and has to work. Comments. Commenter 1. Man, she kind of sucks. Canceling your plans is not a huge deal, but she's trying to cancel the plans of 7 other people. NTA. Reply. NTA, so you're supposed to do what? Sit at home and do nothing while she's working? It's unfortunate she can't go, but there's no reason for you to cancel for yourself and 7 other people who have all made these plans. Commenter 2. NTA. Your girlfriend should have put in a time off request 2 months ago or asked someone to take her shifts weeks ago. Now if she did and it got rejected or somebody backed out, that sucks, but the idea that you shouldn't be able to enjoy your time off because she can't get the time off is ridiculous. Her justification that she does a lot for you doesn't make sense because she isn't actually asking you for support. She's not asking you to cancel because she's having surgery or wants you to help her move. It's just I can't go, so you shouldn't go, which is absurd. Also, you invited 7 friends. So she's expecting 8 people to have their weekend plans cancelled on short notice because she had to work. That's a wild level of selfishness and a really nasty attitude. Commenter 3. I'm a little confused why this is an issue at all. You might want to start thinking about who you're with, know if you're an asshole or not, because if she is this upset over something that doesn't really matter, what happens when some really shit hits the fan? She's working, she can be jealous she is missing it, but to ask you to sit at home and do what? Nothing while she works is a little insane. Reply. NGL, it really has me thinking about all the smaller incidents over the past 4 years. Stories number 18. My BFM20 gave me F20, an ultimatum over him or my hobbies. I'm a 20F and my boyfriend is M20. Been together for 4 months, and he has been an utter angel to me except for now. The other night my BF, Max, and I were watching a movie when we got into a mini makeout session, and while he was in the process of flipping me over he got hella frustrated. Then, like some Tom and Jerry scene, he dashes to the end of the bed and started cupping his face like the world was crushing in on him. I asked him what was wrong and he told me something along the lines of, "This is getting old." At first this hobby was cute, but I can't get it on with an old man watching me. I feel awful looking back at it, but I laughed at him cause that was so insanely bizarre to me, but he was being dead serious. Before I knew it, he was out of my room and left the apartment. So what is this old man? It's a Magneto figure. Please don't dog on me for this, but I absolutely adore X-Men and my room is decked out in it. I have this collection I'm proud of too, and the Magneto one happens to be my favorite, so he sits on my headboard and he's roughly around 12 inches tall with a comic-accurate appearance. After that incident my boyfriend messaged me and told me I needed to reevaluate my hobby if I wanted to continue the relationship. He's even gone on to say I need to grow up and solve this issue like an adult, but I told him I wouldn't and he's telling me I'm jeopardizing the best relationship I'll ever get. What do I even do in this situation? Edit. People have mentioned the fact this was posted on a different community. I have it posted on 2 other places just to get advice, so this isn't stolen or a repeat. Same person just looking for tips on what to do. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. I mean, I personally would find it a bit off-putting and distracting if my partner had a bunch of figurines in their bedroom, let alone one on the headboard. But that being said, issuing an ultimatum like that is a bad start to working through things and generally just isn't a reasonable request. He could have asked if you would consider removing it from your headboard or moving them somewhere out of your room, whether permanently or just when he's over. Reply. And I fully understand being off-put by it. I would have my figures elsewhere other than my room, but I live with 3 other roommates who I share my common areas with. To respect them, I keep my stuff in my room. Also, I do wish he would have just asked me to move it or turn it around. I would have been more than willing to. There's no blame in the idea of being uncomfortable by some human-like figure staring at you while you get it on. I have asked him before if he wanted me to move it elsewhere, but every time he shrugged the idea off and just said he didn't give 2sh*ts, which is why I'm so baffled by his reaction. Update, 20F my BF 20M followed up the ultimatum by absolutely mocking me and my maturity. After the whole incident with my BF storming out of my apartment due to finding my hobby childish collecting comics, figures, etc. He sent me a message telling me I had to choose between him or my hobby. It's been a few days now and I have been trying to work things out. We were able to sit down at his place and discuss compromises. Since I live with 3 other roommates, he understands I can't put my figures anywhere else but my room. Thus I agreed to simply put the Magneto figure in the closet whenever he comes over, along with any other figures that may creep him out. Today he came over early this morning and I told him everything was stored away in a shoebox and made a dumb joke along the lines of hopefully they don't pull a Toy Story. I wanted to ease the tension and just get back to the usual playfulness we had around each other, but he was constantly annoyed with me. Everything I did I felt like I was under a lens getting judged. We were doing some clay crafts like you see on TikTok and during one of the prompts, which was a duck, I gave it a Superman cape. Apparently that was the breaking point cause he just laid into me about how childish I was. I felt like I was getting absolutely belittled because he was not only saying stuff about my interest, but even doing like this mocking type baby voice at me. He was poorly impersonating me all like, oh I'm my name, I'm a big collector and I like to act like a little baby, I think childish things are cool. I feel kind of dumb for it, but that did really upset me. It was enough that I wanted to cry because I felt not only humiliated but severely ashamed cause his words were getting to my head. The only reason this even ended was because my roommate overheard him and came into my room, yelling at him and telling him to get out. It was just a mess, a literal ridiculous scene full of 2 of my roommates kicking him out of the apartment and trying to make me feel better. I just got done drafting an entire breakup message with my friend's help, so it's going to be over, I'm not dealing with that jerk again. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Never allow anyone belittle you, respect your worth and don't let them try to make you feel less than. When he tries to get you back don't let him into your life, you deserve better. Reply. I will definitely be keeping him at a very far distance. After what he's done I can't even fathom giving him a second chance. And thank you, I'm going to try and find someone who respects me for me. Commenter 2. Suck it. I'm done. Block. That's all you gotta do friend. Be real petty and break up with him with some sort of quote or reference to the character. I had a dude once that was bothered by my South Park collection. I used a Cartman gif to end it. Whatever. I do what I want. Reply. I love that you did that. I actually quoted Magneto in my breakup text to him, figured I'd rub a little salt in the wound about what originally brought this all to light. Commenter 3. You have good roommates. Reply. I do and I love them so much. The roommate that came in to help has been my best friend since we were toddlers, she's always had my back. Stories number 19. My 15 years old has started asking for all the money thinks he is due out of my benefits. I'm a single parent and after an injury in 2018 I've been unable to work due to disability and mobility issues. His dad I don't speak to anymore gives us £112 a month child maintenance. I do get child benefit and UC to keep my son. Other from the £112 his dad gives him, that's all his dad gives him. He doesn't buy him clothes or takes him anywhere. I literally pay for everything else. I pay for all his clothes, trainers and everything that he needs. His dad's parents takes him away every year in the UK for a week and I make sure he has what he needs. I spent over £500 for his holiday this summer. Me and my mum have also bought all his college clothes. My son had a weekend job that lasted 3 weekends, then he was sacked for not being interested enough and he literally just goes out with friends or stays in bed. Doesn't help around the house or walks the dog. What I didn't realize was he had been offered another weekend job £8 an hour which he turned down because his dad told him he gives him £100 a month and I should be giving him his money from benefits. What I don't think they realize is I pay the rent, I pay the broadband, his mobile contract, his food, gas and electricity too. Plus I buy him all his damn clothes and new trainers and a new bed and mattress he wanted. Now my son is on his dad's side wanting all this money which after all the bills doesn't exist. He has stayed in his room all day today and just came down to have a rant at me saying he wants his dad's £100 that child maintenance sent me earlier. Comments. Commenter 1. I'm the parent. That money is for me to raise you. Not for you to spend. If you want spending money you get a job. Plain and simple. That's the last time I want to hear about any of this. Reply. That's my plan. I was pretty mad when I found out he had been offered another weekend job and he refused it. He didn't tell me though, I found out via a friend whose son works there. Commenter 2. Sounds like a great chance to sit down and look at the numbers with him so he can see where all the money is going. Gets him off your back and introduces him to budgeting. Commenter 3. If that doesn't help, sit him down and show him what everything actually costs. The bills, the groceries, the clothes, the internet, all of it. Then ask him if he really thinks the child maintenance from his dad is enough to cover half of that as it should if dad doesn't do anything. Then tell him that he won't get a job to earn his spending money. Go ask his dad why he's a cheapskate. Commenter 4. I never had to do it with money but with both of the partners I've lived with, both men. It will surprise no one, I've had to list all the house upkeep I did and why mowing a tiny patch of lawn once every 2 months and taking the car to the mechanic once a year didn't really compare. I'm partnered again but we'll never live together. Men are a lot more appealing when they don't live with you. Stories number 20. Aita for raising my kids as a single dad instead of trying to find them a new mom figure. My ex left me and our kids 3.5 years ago. Our daughter was 3.5 at the time and our son was 18 months old. She has nothing to do with me or the kids now, and that includes child support, though I'm trying to get that for their sake. Ever since my marriage ended I have been focused on the kids and that's where I plan to keep most of my focus for the next decade or more. My kids are still young and will need me to provide the best life I can to them. Dating is not something I'm interested in, much to the pain of my family. My sister has tried to set me up with 2 of her friends and mom tried to set me up with a single mom coworker of hers. I spoke to the women they wanted me to meet but I just wasn't interested. It drove my mom and sister crazy, who asked me what was wrong with those women and to explain the kind of partner I want. My mom told me the kids need a mom in their lives and raising them alone is not in their best interest. I have stepped back twice because of the pushiness and right now they are in timeout because they would not let up on me. They said the kids would benefit from me blending families with someone or giving them a stepmom. When I told them it would not be better for them if I'm dating just to give them a mom because that's not a good foundation for a new relationship, they said I should find someone I want. And I made it clear my interest is in raising my kids and not my love life. I even had them ask what my daughter will do when she gets older and doesn't have a mom to speak to. I am incredibly lucky that my best friend in the world is amazing and she's happy to talk to my daughter if she ever wants. And she's in my kids' lives and they know her, and my kids are close with her husband too, so we have our own support. It's better than what my family offers right now and sadly better than their maternal family have been willing to offer. And now I've had to block several family members because even in timeout they keep pushing. So now I'm here asking, because my family are relentless, Aita for raising the kids on my own. Am I failing my kids? Comments. Commenter 1. NTA, studies show that they will be fine with a single dad. You are trying to keep your children out of toxic cycles, and that is great. Commenter 2. They said the kids would benefit from me blending families with someone or giving them a stepmom. Or, as evidenced by the many posts here from people who have cut off their formerly single parents for forcing a blended family on them before they were ready, they will cut you off in a few years. I even had them ask what my daughter will do when she gets older and doesn't have a mom to speak to. She'll talk to you. The fuck they think she'll do? I have a wife, and my daughter still chooses to speak to me about her deeper issues. Being a good supportive parent is not dependent on your or your kid's gender identity. NTA. Reply. They think she won't want to talk to me about periods and other topics like that. I'm prepared for her to come to me or my best friend, or maybe she'll have a friend's mom or sister she'll talk to. But I always wanted to be an option even before my ex left. I love my kids and want to do good by them both. Reply commenter 2. They think she won't want to talk to me about periods and other topics like that. If you are her only parent, and you have a good relationship, of course she'll want to talk to you about that stuff. You are her dad. You may have to do some homework in preparation for such talks, but it'll be fine. My daughter comes to me with all that stuff. Compassion has no gender. That being said, it really sounds like your family leans hard on traditional gender roles. Would you say that is accurate? Commenter 3. Marriages that result in blended families are far less likely to succeed than marriages where both parents are the actual parents. I think you are very wise. Don't listen to your stupid relatives. NTA. Good to have supporting friends. Focus on them and other friends that form your village. Reply. I've heard that before and had some experience with friends growing up. A lot of them also hated their stepfamilies, which stayed with me, I'll be honest. I had more than one friend cheer when their mom or dad divorced the second or third time or whatever. Stories number 21. My fiancé 35F doesn't want me 35M to travel to Texas and Florida for work due to ethical reasons. Some backstory. I 35M have been with my fiancé 35F for several years. When we first got together I was working full-time as a photographer and videographer for a coffee company. About 2.5 years ago I was laid off and started freelancing. It's been a long road, but I've been gaining some traction with some retainer clients and my career is starting to pick up finally. For the last 6 months I have been shooting golf. This has turned into some bigger opportunities for me. These opportunities all include traveling to and filming at popular golf courses, the first 2 being in Texas and Florida. I also traveled to Texas a few months ago without issue. About my fiancé for background is a queer black woman. She is extremely smart and caring. She's an award-winning poet and musician. She cares intensely about people and what's right. She is highly informed about the news and politics. During the last 2 years my fiancé's health has also declined. She has horrible endometriosis as well as several conditions that are comorbidities. She had 2 surgeries last year and was laid off of work in September due to her illness despite being on FMLA. Now due to her condition, finding employment has been an issue. She can't work a week out of the month due to the intense pain. So I am the primary breadwinner. I pay for all of our expenses currently. With these new clients I'm hoping to start to pay off some of my debt I have racked up from those first years of freelancing, as well as paying for all of her doctor's appointments and medications. The issue, with these new opportunities presenting themselves, my fiancé has made it clear that she doesn't want me to go on these trips due to the political climate of Texas and Florida. She says I am compromising my morals and values by working there, and because I'm filming I am even promoting the states. This has led to a lot of fights and she regularly updates me on all of their politics to challenge me. She also says that since I'm her caregiver, me traveling to these places puts me in danger and therefore puts her life and stability in danger. This is if I were to be detained by ICE. I'm a tattooed white guy, I stand out in these places usually. During these discussions she wanted to know who owns the golf courses to check their political leanings, which I provided as well. She spends a lot of time on social media and receives a lot of her news and research through those communities. I myself am very liberal and understand her viewpoint. But I have also been working as a photographer and now videographer for close to 10 years, and starting to travel for it has always been a dream that I am finally starting to attain. I'm really not sure how to proceed. She brings it up daily. Now she's saying she's always going to come second to my career. Is there a way to proceed here? I feel like I'll be passing on a very large opportunity here that could get me out of debt and relieve the intense stress of providing for both of us. This is a lot of text. I did my best to try to make her points clear. Let me know if I can elaborate further. Edit. I had to type this twice on the train and forgot some things. I should have realized her job status would be brought up a lot. I am okay with her taking time off work to get a handle on her health. Her symptoms are absolutely debilitating at times and it's very heartbreaking. She hates not being able to work currently. She was always independent. She is taking steps to seek employment. She is starting the process to do some bartending once or twice a week at a friend's bar for a couple months. Stock some money to cover things like meds, she needs new clothes due to weight loss, needs makeup, and daily things. She's also a multidisciplinary artist and some of her visual art pieces may be going up for sale soon. She's very good. I did not make this post to speak badly about my partner. I'm not looking for any negativity towards her. That's not wanted at all. Comments. Commenter 1. We all have to survive under capitalism. It's great to be informed and passionate about your beliefs, but she's not suggesting any practical alternatives. Until she does, this is a lot of outrage and not a lot of constructive discussion. It's not like you've been hired to take pics of the US military or a Mar-a-Lago photo shoot. She needs to step back and consider the practical consequences. Commenter 2. Can I just say that the idea that a tattooed white man will stand out in Texas or Florida made me actually fucking laugh at OP. It's like this was written by a European teenager based on social media stereotypes of these places. LMFAO. Commenter 3. I would tell her that if this is where she's choosing to spend her energy, she's picking battles that don't actually change or do any good in the world, nor is she stopping any real harm. Pick and choose your battles. There's a ton of awful things going on right now that do need attention. Doesn't seem like she's giving the true battles the energy they need that you would very likely support her in taking on. Commenter 4. I am a firm believer that sometimes you have to make sacrifices. These roles could lead to larger opportunities and afford you the ability to be more selective later. If you don't have something better lined up elsewhere, I would do it until you can choose not to. Maybe you can set a course to accomplish that together, with the understanding it's temporary. Reply. I've been thinking about that. I'm not a golfer at all, it's just been a very lucrative gig. I'd love to leverage into travel content or maybe something else in sports. Stories number 22. Aita for choosing my grandpa to walk me down the aisle and dance with me instead of my stepfather. I'm 25F getting married in a year and I asked my grandpa to walk me down the aisle and to be the one I dance with for the father-daughter dance. He was so happy to say yes and my grandma was super happy for him. This upset my mom and stepfather who felt he was more deserving and that it would traditionally be him if not my biological father. I told them beforehand and they were not happy. My stepfather told me he expected me to change my mind and walk alone and dance with no one but my husband or ask him. He said there was no middle ground because anything different is disrespect to him and his place in my life. I asked my grandpa anyway. And mom asked me what I was thinking and did I realize how bad I would make the two of them look because it just appears like she can't pick a good father for me when one left and the other I reject as a father. To provide some context about my decision, and this is all stuff my mom and stepfather know. Mom was single dating until I was 9. My father was never in my life. My grandparents' mom's parents were there for me and grandpa was the father figure I had. I didn't have any uncles or other male relatives, it was him and he was so good to me. I used to spend weekends at my grandparents' house. Sometimes I'd spend 3 or 4 nights at my grandparents' house. It was never a set schedule but that's just how it went. I loved being there and I felt more supported there than with my mom. My grandparents provided a lot for me. They took me back to school shopping every August. They used to make sure I had enough money in my lunch account at school and they were the people who picked me up when I got sick at school. Mom wasn't a total deadbeat but I think she was more focused on her personal life than on me at times. When she met my stepfather he was eager to step into the role of dad but I didn't feel that need for him and I felt weird about him coming on so strong. We spent time together, he bought me stuff and he moved in after 4 months of me knowing him. He offered to adopt me which I always said no to. And even after he was on the scene I went to my grandparents' house a lot and spent many overnights there, sometimes entire weekends or even entire weeks. It was grandpa I looked up to as a father figure and whenever I was asked to write about dads or father figures in school I wrote about him. I made him Father's Day cards every year and bought him stuff for the day and when my stepfather had kids with my mom I'd wish him one too. But I never claimed him as my own dad. And even before a lot of that stuff my stepfather was highly critical of my grandparents but grandpa especially. He said they were just too involved and that they should have left room for me to learn to be on my own more as in when mom couldn't be there. But he also thought they should have paid for his and mom's wedding which became a huge thing. Then he called my grandpa creepy for being so close with me. They weren't in the same room often and more often than not my stepfather took digs or tried to start fights with my grandparents. My grandparents continued providing for me after my stepfather married my mom. They didn't say it at the time, but later they said they suspected he would try to use paying for stuff to get me to do things I didn't want to, like changing my last name and being adopted and even calling him dad. And I think they were right to think that way, because when my grandparents got me my first car he offered to buy me a brand new car, like a shiny new one, but he said we'd need to talk about what we are to each other and I just said no and the car I had was fine. Comments. Commenter 1. NTA. You asked the man who actually was your father figure to walk you down the aisle and dance with you. That's not disrespect, that's honoring the person who showed up for you your whole life. Your stepfather may have wanted the role, but wanting it doesn't make him entitled to it. He's making this about his ego and how it looks, while you're making it about love and gratitude. Big difference. Weddings are not participation trophies. You don't owe him a symbolic role he never earned. Your grandpa did. Full stop. Reply, thank you for seeing that. My grandpa has been there since day one and he always comes through, and he and grandma have enriched my life so much since I was little. Without them I'm not sure I'd be as stable and happy as I am today. Commenter 2, here's the thing. The wedding ain't about your mama or your stepdad. It's all about you. And what you want. Hell, if you chose to have your cat or dog walk down the aisle with you, they're supposed to say, okay sweetie, let's make this happen. This is your day. And whoever refuses to grasp this simple concept is not deserving of any role in your special day. Period. Commenter 3. Your mom and stepdad are selfish. They aren't concerned with you or your feelings about this at all, which seems to be their absolute way of life by what you say you have experienced. It seems they are more concerned with a look than truth and your personal happiness. 2 things you wrote spoke volumes. Mom wasn't a total deadbeat, but I think she was more focused on her personal life than on me at times. Your mom is being selfish again, this time is about your wedding and how she and him will look to others. He said they were just too involved and that they should have left room for me to learn to be on my own more, as in when mom couldn't be there. This is an insanely selfish statement on his and your mom's behalf. He had a problem with grandparents showing love to a child whose father was not in her life, whose mother concerned herself with a social life before her daughter, and now a new stepdad who seems to want accolades and compliments more than he wants to have a cohesive loving family. Do what makes you happy. It sounds like you made the perfect choice on who to walk you down the aisle and who to dance with. Honor the man you feel deserves that honor for the role he played in your life. Your wedding is about you, your future, and all the great things that are going to happen for you and your new life. Don't start this new life out by bending the knee to your mom and her husband's antics. If they threaten not to come unless they get their special way, please, for the love of all that is sanity, just respond with I respect your decision and your presence will be missed, then drop it until they adhere to your wishes just this one frickin' time. Good luck, God bless, and congratulations on your wedding. Reply, thank you. I honestly don't even care all that much if they do threaten not to come. Maybe things will run smoother if they do, because they won't be there to complain or give any shit to my grandparents over grandpa's role. Commenter 4, I think you made the right call. Your stepfather seems to want the idea of being dad more than actually being a supportive figure in your life, and it's okay to honor the person who truly raised and supported you. Stories number 23. Boss said dress for the job you want, so I started wearing a CEO costume to my retail job. I work at a mid-tier clothing store and our district manager came through last month giving us the usual corporate pep talk. During the meeting, she kept emphasizing how we should dress for the job you want, not the job you have, and think like leaders. Now our dress code is pretty relaxed. Basically just look professional and wear something from our store. Most of us wear jeans and a nice top or sweater from our inventory. I decided to take her advice literally. Started showing up in full business formal tailored suits thrifted, because retail wages, dress shirts, ties, you know the works. I even bought a cheap briefcase that I carry around the store. At first customers started assuming I was the manager and would come to me with complaints and returns. I'd politely redirect them, but it was happening constantly. My actual manager seemed confused but couldn't really say anything since I was following dress code and the DM's advice. The best part was when the DM came back for her monthly visit. She saw me restocking shelves in my full suit and tie, briefcase sitting nearby, and just stared for like 10 seconds. She asked my manager about it and he just shrugged and said she's dressing for the job she wants. Now half my coworkers have started wearing more formal clothes too, and our store apparently has the most professional-looking team in the district. The DM hasn't mentioned the dress code since. Stories number 24. You want me to follow every rule in the handbook? Alright, I'll follow every single one. I work as a part-time office assistant for a mid-sized company. A few months ago, my manager, let's call him Dan, started micromanaging me hard. I'm talking, clocking me for being 2 minutes late from lunch, criticizing my font choice in emails, and most annoyingly, calling me out in front of others for not following the company handbook to the letter. One day, after he publicly scolded me for using a blue pen instead of black seriously, I decided to give him exactly what he wanted, complete and total compliance with the handbook. The next morning, I walked in exactly at 8:59. Handbook says start time is 9 o'clock, so I'm not a second early. Handbook says to use formal titles. Every email started with Dear Mr. Last Name, including to my coworkers I've known for years. Handbook says all internal documents must be signed and dated. I signed and dated every sticky note. Handbook says all meetings must be scheduled 24 hours in advance with agenda attached. I declined his spontaneous quick chats until proper agendas were sent. Handbook says lunch is 60 minutes, not 59. I left my desk at 12 o'clock sharp and didn't return until 1 o'clock on the dot. Handbook says to copy the HR manager on all work disputes. HR started getting everything, even when Dan asked me to reprint a file. Within 3 days, everything slowed to a crawl. He had to answer to HR twice for urgent emails I copied them on. Projects backed up because he couldn't get me to bend even a little. On Friday, Dan called me into his office, clearly frustrated. Dan, look, can you just do your job without making everything so rigid? Me, I'm just following the company handbook like you asked. He sat there silently for a good 10 seconds before saying, Dan, alright, maybe we can be a little flexible moving forward. Since then, no more micromanagement. He barely looks my way, and my work life has been blissfully quiet. Stories number 25. My coworker acts like my manager and I'm losing my mind. I swear my coworker Alicia has a secret job title, and it's my unofficial, unwanted micromanager. We have the exact same role. We report to the same person. We have the same responsibilities. Yet somehow, in her mind, she is my direct supervisor. It's a daily thing. Our actual manager will assign me a task, and 5 minutes later I'll get a message from Alicia, hey, just checking in on the report from Mark, our boss. Let me know if you need me to review it before you send it. She never offers to help, only to review. Last week in a team meeting, our boss assigned me a project. She immediately chimed in with, great. And can you make sure to send me the draft by end of day Wednesday? I want to give it a once-over before it goes up the chain. She said this in front of everyone, including our actual boss who just kind of blinked. I'm a non-confrontational person, so I usually just say okay, thanks. But inside I'm screaming. The breaking point was this morning. She walked over to my desk, pointed at my screen and said, you should really format that data differently. Just stop what you're doing and I'll send you the template I use. It's much better. I just looked at her. I don't work for you. We are peers. I'm so tired of having to manage her attempts to manage me. It's like having two bosses, but I only get paid for one. Has anyone else dealt with a shadow manager on their team? How do you get them to back off without making it a huge HR issue? Update, my coworker acts like my manager. A couple weeks ago I posted about my coworker Alicia, who decided to make herself my unofficial boss even though we're on the exact same level. Since then, things have definitely escalated. The last straw was when our manager gave me a 2-week project. Not even 10 minutes later, Alicia messaged me saying, can you send me progress updates every couple of days so I can make sure it's on track? That was the moment I realized I couldn't keep letting this slide. Instead of confronting her directly, I tried an experiment. I ignored her check-ins completely and only sent updates to our actual manager when they were due. And nothing bad happened. No one cared. The work got done and life moved on. Then came the team meeting. As expected, Alicia jumped in with her usual line, I'll review it before it goes up the chain. This time, I spoke up. I said, thanks, but Mark already approved the draft, and looked at our boss while saying it. His reaction was priceless. It was like he suddenly realized what had been happening all along. After the meeting, he pulled me aside and actually apologized. He told me to always send work directly to him and said he'd speak to Alicia. Since then, I haven't gotten a single unsolicited review request. She still has that same bossy energy, but at least she's not breathing down my neck anymore. I feel a little guilty for not addressing it with her face to face, but honestly, it's not my job to manage her behavior. Right now things feel lighter, and I can finally focus without feeling like someone's peeking over my shoulder. So I'm torn. Do I just enjoy the peace and leave it alone, Or should I have an actual conversation with her in case she tries creeping back into shadow manager mode? Stories number 26. Aita for telling my dad I wouldn't talk to his wife or her kids again if they divorced or he died. My parents got divorced years ago. Dad was my primary parent and I am 17, saw mom on weekends. Then she moved to Florida without telling us and we found out when I went to her place and someone else was living there. She didn't leave a forwarding address or anything, and when Dad called and texted her she replied once for us to leave her alone. I was 12. The next year my dad married his girlfriend of 3 years and they bought a house together and all of us moved in, including her 3 kids. I was fine with that, but it wasn't like I was suddenly like, oh, a new mom or a stepmom, and I know legally that's what she would be described as. To me she was Dad's wife. Her kids were Dad's stepkids, his wife's kids. I'm okay with them but not close, and I don't feel anything toward them. I don't try to spend time with them unless Dad makes me. That's something that bothers Dad. He wanted me to willingly spend time with them and bond with them, and he was hoping I'd offer to babysit occasionally without asking. He told me I should, and I told him don't call the kids my siblings and we'll talk, and that led to us talking about that, and he was annoyed I had that view of them. I was like, that was always how I saw it, just like his wife is his wife and not my new mom or parent. He mentioned how important it would be for us to have each other in the future, and I told him if he gets divorced or dies I wouldn't talk to his wife or her kids again. He didn't expect me to say it and kept asking, really, 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 and I was like, yeah. I said I wouldn't see a reason to keep in touch and I only have anything to do with them now because of him. His wife heard me say the last parts and she was like, WTF, how dare you, and Dad went and calmed her down. But I could see he didn't know what to say to that. While she said that was a shitty attitude to have. Aita. Stories number 27. Bank added a stranger to my grandmother's account, and now the account is blocked and her money was removed because of collections, $6,000 lost with no recourse. We don't know what to do because no one is listening. My grandmother has an account with Citibank for over a decade. It's a joint account with her and one of her daughters. Last year, another woman was added to the account. We do not know this woman. My grandmother gets digital statements and she didn't check them, so she didn't realize the person was added. Fast forward to the end of July, she was logging into her account to find that it was blocked. She called the bank, they told her she has to go in person to see what happened. She went in person. The first time, they said they can't contact legal because they aren't open. The second time, the bank employee said she needs to figure out who in her account owes debt and who was forwarded to collections. One of her daughters who was not on the account has a similar name to the person that was added to the account. However, the person added has a different social security number as well as a different address. We got her address because Citibank sent a letter to my grandmother with the woman's information as well as her address and the date of the court hearing where judgment was granted against this woman by the company that sued her. So there was a court case. We know nothing of this. So my grandmother and the daughter with the similar name went to the bank to prove she was not the one added to the account and provided her social security number and address. The bank employee verified that person who was added was not the same person, standing in front of them based on the social security number. Now, they are saying, we need to contact the collections company and their lawyer to see what they can do. Why would we have to contact them when Citibank was the one who added a total stranger to a primary account without the primary owner even being there or given permission? We do not know what to do. $6,000 is a lot to lose. We are not rich. What should we do? Stories number 28. Wibta for putting my foot down and telling my pregnant friend I don't want to help her financially. I can't have children. I have a friend, 25F, well call her Bat, that's currently 26 weeks pregnant, and last year she had a few things happen. I won't be mentioning all of the issues. Her and her partner broke up this year after he domestically abused her in front of their previous 2 children. Now I know her ex-partner quite well as he nearly took my life in 2020, but now Bat is trying to rely on me for everything. Like baby names first and middle, money, gifts, but the thing is she lives at home with her mom, sister and brother. She's been asking me for weeks to help her with it as she's scared, which I understand. However, I've tried explaining to her that I don't want anything to do with helping with this baby, as I stepped in and helped her a lot with her first child who is now 6. Yet she doesn't want to seem to listen when I say nicely that I cannot afford to help raise a child. I am not in the right financial state to help her. I'm also infertile and very much love my child but cannot, so I do get attached to children easily, and I don't want to go through the mental turmoil that I do, when I realize that my dreams will never happen. I moved 4 hours and over 350 kilometers to get away from this, as I have been dragged into helping raise all of her children, and I do not want to do it again, but she doesn't understand when I'm trying to be nice. I just want to tell it to her face how it is. but she's pregnant and probably going through a lot, so I don't want to upset her. I don't know what the fuck to do, to get her to listen and back off. Would I be the asshole for putting my foot down and telling her I'm not helping? Update, Wibta for putting my foot down and telling my pregnant friend I don't want to help her financially. I'm going to start off by thanking everyone that commented. I am new to all this stuff as I've never posted before, so I don't really know how to tag my other post or really how to do a proper update, so I do apologize for those in the comments that wanted an update. I hope you found it. So it went pretty horribly and now she is on the forever block list. I can say that I did try and be a lot firmer about what my boundaries were and what I was going to do if she didn't respect them as a few suggested, and I thought okay, I'm getting somewhere wrong, I'm a deadest fucking idiot for even thinking she'd listen to me. As soon as I'd gotten off the call, I got a text asking if I'd buy her kid a school lunch. All I could say was, no, what else can I say when this kid's lunch orders are $30 some days and she's not my responsibility. She seemed very shocked and rang me. She started going off at me about how she doesn't get support off her family and how I'm her only friend that helps out, and I mean, yeah, okay. Now, I will admit I was a bit of an asshole at this stage as I said some pretty nasty truths she needed to hear and hung up on her. I then messaged one final line to her. You didn't respect me, I'm done. Sorry if it's not the update you guys wanted, but it's the only one I've got as you guys kinda saved my ass from being an ATM forever. Stories number 29. My mom offered to run to Walmart to buy a Hanes wife beater tank top to wear under my wedding dress to cover my cleavage. My extremely Mormon mother saw me in my wedding dress the morning of my wedding and offered to stop by Walmart on the way to the ceremony, so she could pick up a pack of Hanes men's white tank tops so I could wear one under my wedding dress because it showed cleavage. I'm honestly not surprised because growing up we were forced to wear those cheap-ass undershirts all the time under our outfits to be more modest. My favorite part is that she didn't even offer to get a lace camisole, just the absolute tackiest, cheapest thing to cover my tasteful cleavage. I declined and haven't thought about it until now. Comments. Commenter 1. Oh God, I'm so glad the prophet said females can show their shoulders. This reminded me of my prom when my mom made me wear a bra with straps and a cardigan over my dress so my shoulders would be modest. She wouldn't let me wear a strapless bra so I wouldn't be tempted to remove my cardigan. Reply. My Catholic mom made me take my dress to a seamstress to put sleeves on it. I'm Mormon, I just told my kids it had to have straps, mainly because some poor girl at my prom had a guy walk up behind her on the dance floor and pull her strapless dress down. Commenter 2. I don't remember many details about my wedding day. I know my wife had a massive amount of cleavage exposed because she is very blessed in that region. I remember her walking down the aisle toward me, and I remember at the reception an elderly woman saying those look so soft I just want to stick my face in there, and motorboat sounds. 13 years later anytime I see that lady at church it gives me a chuckle. Commenter 3. I was part of a wedding a few years ago where the bridal party was pretty religious and churchy. One of the bridesmaids wore a camisole under her dress to be more modest, and didn't even have much for cleavage. It looked bad. Commenter 4. I wish the phrase wife beater shirt would die. I always heard them called a shirts and that has none of the connotations the other name has. Stories number 30. I just realized why older women at work are more chilled, friendly, and seem less snobby, and it took me more than a year to figure out. It wasn't until recently that I realized a lot of my male coworkers hit on girls excessively at work, lol. So when a guy is just being friendly and making jokes with them to make his experience at work more bearable and less stressful, they may mistake this for flirting. Over time, I noticed that the older women at work were never snubby and never gave me a somewhat bitchy attitude when I joked with or talked to them, which I now understand the purpose of, and I would never judge any woman for doing this, but it took me a lot of time to understand why. So many women at work might have thought I was trying to flirt with them when in reality, I was just talking normally. I would like to add that I banter a lot with both my male and female coworkers. It was when I started viewing this sub that I realized that some people consider banter as flirting. It all makes sense now. Comments. Commenter 1. Kind of a related but different experience. In 2022 I took a new job at a large company that had a lot of young, single women in it. Previously in my career I had worked at smaller companies in more technical fields that didn't have a lot of women in them. I was 46, happily married with a daughter. I was really gratified how so many of them were so friendly, enjoyed talking with me at work, at company events, happy hours, etc. I won't lie, I found it very enjoyable to sit and talk with a young, enthusiastic woman who happened to be very nice to look at, but for me that's all it was. I wasn't thinking beyond she's pretty, and I knew they didn't look at me as anything other than this nice funny older man who works in sustainability and gets really animated talking about how passionate I am about the field. So there was no pressure or tension like when I spoke to women my age when I was single in my 20s. It was really nice. I've moved on from that job, but some of those women still keep in touch with me. I even had lunch with one earlier this summer. Everyone talks about being young and single like once you're older you're always longing for those days, but to be honest, my 40s have been my favorite decade so far, and one thing that is great about being middle-aged and happily married is not having to worry about sexual tension with women. Commenter 2. As a yapper and a young woman, it's so hard that it's so rare to be able to have normal conversations with men. I'm very extroverted and enjoy being friendly, but I typically have to be hyper-professional with men until they've proven they can be chill without making things weird. I've had some really good male coworkers, but they're definitely just jewels of people, hard to come by, and we stayed friends even after I stopped working there. I do think a huge part of this problem is just the inherent difference in the communication styles/culture between men and women. Commenter 3. When I hit 50, I made a deal with myself to be myself at all times. No matter what the cost, I just don't care. I'm naturally fun, and could give a shit less how people feel about me. I'm kind, and I talk to everyone like they're my best friend. If people project who they think I am, so be it, but I'm not changing who I am to placate strangers. If people think I'm hitting on them, their loss. You only live once. Stories number 31. My mom asked me to pick her up at the airport on my wedding day. My 28F fiancé 29M and I are getting married in just a couple of weeks. We've been planning this wedding for over a year, and as you can probably guess, we're running around like crazy people trying to get every last detail in place. Venue paid for. Catering locked down. Family flying in. Already organized. My stress level through the roof. So today, I'm on the phone with my mom Susan, 55F. She lives in another state and will be flying in for the wedding. We were chatting about her flight details, hotel check-in, and everything else when she casually drops, "Oh, by the way, can you and Daniel come pick me up from the airport when I land?" For context, her flight lands the morning of my actual wedding day. At first, I thought maybe I misunderstood her. Like, surely she didn't mean me and Daniel. But nope, she doubled down. She said it would be easier for her if we swung by, picked her up, and dropped her at the hotel before the wedding festivities. I just sat there in stunned silence because, lady, do you not realize what's happening that day? I tried to keep my cool and gently said, Mom, we can't. It's our wedding day. We'll be with the bridal party, photographer, and vendors all morning. And she goes, well, it'll only take a little bit of time, the airport isn't that far. That's when I got annoyed. First of all, the airport is a 45-minute drive each way with traffic. Second, even if it was only 10 minutes away, I literally do not have time on the morning of my wedding to play chauffeur. I explained this to her, and she got this pouty, disappointed tone in her voice. She said something like, "Oh, so you can't do this one little thing for me? It's going to cost me at least $30 to get an Uber to the hotel." I couldn't believe it. First of all, my fiancé Daniel 29M and I are already paying for her hotel room for the entire weekend because we wanted her to feel comfortable and not stressed about money. Second, my mom is not broke. She is actually pretty well off compared to a lot of people. She goes on vacations multiple times a year and just bought herself a new car. She can absolutely afford a $30 Uber ride without blinking an eye. The entitlement of it really rubbed me the wrong way. No one else in either of our families asked for anything like this. Daniel's parents Mark, 60M Linda, 58F are flying in too, and they immediately said they'd grab a cab from the airport and meet us at the rehearsal dinner the night before. My bridesmaids, my siblings, literally everyone else has figured out their own logistics without bothering me. But my mom thinks I should drop everything on the most important morning of my life to go fetch her from baggage claim. What also frustrates me is the guilt tripping. She tried to make me feel like I was abandoning her, like it was cruel for me to expect her to take care of her own transportation. At one point she even said, "I can't believe my own daughter can't pick me up from the airport on such a special day." And I wanted to scream because, yeah, it's a special day, but for me, not for me to run errands for her. When I said again that it wasn't possible, she huffed and said she guessed she'd figure something out and made it sound like I was punishing her. It left me feeling so frustrated and honestly kind of hurt. I've been trying so hard to keep everyone happy and make this wedding as smooth as possible, and instead of being supportive, my mom is acting like I'm a bad daughter because I won't play Uber driver on the literal morning I'm getting married. I know in the grand scheme of things this might sound minor, it's just a ride, but the entitlement and guilt tripping is what really gets me. Like, if she had just said, "I'll grab an Uber, don't worry about me, focus on your big day," I'd have been grateful and relieved. Instead, she chose to make it into a fight. Now I'm stuck wondering, am I the asshole here? Should I have just swallowed my annoyance and told her yes to keep the peace? Or was I right to set a boundary that the morning of my wedding isn't the time for airport pickups? Update: my mom asked me to pick her up at the airport on my wedding day, so, a lot has happened since I posted about my mom Susan, 55F, asking me and my fiancé Daniel 29M to pick her up from the airport on the actual morning of our wedding. When I first shared the story, I didn't think it would blow up into such a huge thing, but the responses really helped me feel less crazy about how entitled her request was. After that phone call, I stood my ground. I told her point blank, "Mom, I can't pick you up on the morning of my wedding. You're going to need to take an Uber or taxi. Daniel and I are going to be slammed with everything." She didn't like it, but she didn't argue further that day. I thought it was settled. Fast forward to the week of the wedding. Families started flying in early. Daniel's parents, Mark and Linda, came in on Wednesday and immediately rented a car without asking us for a thing. My siblings were flying in Thursday and Friday. My bridesmaids were already helping me with last-minute details, and everyone seemed to have their logistics worked out. Except, of course, my mom. On Friday night, the rehearsal dinner, she made another comment about it. She said something like, "I can't believe no one is willing to pick me up. It's just such a small thing." She said this in front of Daniel's parents, which embarrassed the hell out of me because I don't want my in-laws thinking my mom is a helpless princess. Linda immediately jumped in, bless her, and said, "Oh Susan, we just grabbed a cab ourselves. It was no trouble at all. You'll be fine." My mom just gave this tight smile and dropped it, but I could tell she was still annoyed. Then came the actual day. My mom's flight landed at 9 a.m. The ceremony was at 3 p.m., and I had hair and makeup at 8 a.m., then photos, then meeting with the coordinator. Basically, my whole morning was packed. Sure enough, at 9:15 my phone buzzes with texts from her. "Just landed. Where are you guys?" Then another, "Emily. Did you forget about me?" Then she called. I didn't even answer because I was literally in the makeup chair. My maid of honor, Jessica 27F, grabbed my phone and texted her back, "Emily is busy getting ready. You need to grab an Uber." Apparently, my mom wasn't happy about that. She sent me this long guilt-trippy message saying she couldn't believe I would abandon her on such an important day, that she felt like an outsider at her own daughter's wedding, and that she had never felt so uncared for. I just stared at my phone in disbelief. Like, lady, you are being chauffeured to a hotel we are paying for, to attend a wedding that we are also paying for, and you're mad because I didn't put down my bouquet and veil to come play taxi driver. Eventually, she did get an Uber and went to the hotel. She arrived at the venue right before the ceremony, looking fine, but when I hugged her, she gave me the cold shoulder. During photos, she was stiff and distant. At the reception, she sat at the family table and smiled for pictures, but people kept asking me if she was upset because apparently she made several comments about how things weren't the way she imagined and how she felt left out of the morning. Here's the kicker. Daniel's mom later told me that Susan tried to get sympathy from her by saying, "I can't believe my own daughter didn't even come pick me up at the airport. I thought weddings were about family." Linda, bless her again, apparently just smiled and said, "Weddings are about the bride and groom. You should be proud of Emily for setting boundaries." I nearly cried when I heard that because I felt so validated. After the wedding, when things settled down, I finally confronted my mom about it. I told her that her behavior really dampened my morning and made me feel guilty when I should have been happy. She didn't apologize. Instead, she doubled down and said, "I just thought you'd want to see me as soon as I landed." I didn't think it was asking too much. That was the moment I realized that this wasn't about a ride. It was about control and about her wanting to be the center of my attention, even on my wedding day. She wanted to test if I'd drop everything for her. When I didn't, she pouted like a teenager. Since then, we haven't talked much. She called once after the honeymoon to ask how things were, but the conversation was awkward and short. I think she knows she pushed too far, but she's too prideful to admit it. Daniel thinks I should let it go and keep some distance for my own peace of mind. My bridesmaids keep telling me that I handled it perfectly and that Susan was out of line. Even my siblings, who usually try to keep the peace, said she was being dramatic. Looking back, I don't regret my decision at all. If anything, it confirmed that I need to start setting firmer boundaries with her, because if she's willing to guilt-trip me over a $30 Uber on the biggest day of my life, then she'll do the same thing for every other big milestone down the road. So yeah. That's how it all went down. She got to the wedding, everything went fine, Daniel and I are happily married, and Susan is sulking but alive. Honestly, I think that's as good as it gets with her. Final update, my mom asked me to pick her up at the airport on my wedding day. It's been about 6 months since my wedding, and I wanted to give a final update because a lot of people asked how things turned out with my mom after all that drama. To put it simply, things are different now. Right after the wedding, my mom Susan, 55F, was distant. She called once when Daniel, my husband, 29M, and I got back from our honeymoon, but the conversation was short and weird. She acted like nothing had happened, like she hadn't spent my entire wedding day sulking because we didn't chauffeur her from the airport. That alone told me everything I needed to know. She wasn't going to apologize, and she wasn't even going to acknowledge that her behavior was hurtful. For the first couple months, I didn't reach out much. I was busy settling into married life, enjoying being newlyweds, and honestly, I was happy not having her constant guilt trips hovering over me. Usually, my mom calls me every other day just to check in, aka to criticize or complain about something, but after the wedding, it went down to once every couple of weeks. When she did call, she was polite but still passive-aggressive. She'd slip in comments like, "I guess you're too busy with Daniel to think about your mom anymore," or "Don't forget who raised you." I tried not to bite. Therapy has been helping me a lot with that. I started seeing a therapist after the wedding because I realized how often my mom steamrolled me my whole life. My therapist basically told me that what Susan did at the wedding was a textbook example of emotional manipulation, and if I kept caving to it, I'd spend the rest of my life running errands for her at the expense of my own happiness. The real turning point was Thanksgiving. Daniel and I hosted a small dinner at our house. We invited my family and his parents. My siblings showed up, everyone was great, but my mom spent the entire evening acting like she was the victim. She told Daniel's parents the Uber story again for the 10th time, except this time she exaggerated and said we left her stranded. Daniel's mom immediately cut her off and said, "Susan, no one left you stranded. You had options. Emily and Daniel were busy getting married." My mom got quiet after that, and honestly, I think she was embarrassed. Christmas was even worse. She made a huge deal about wanting us to fly to her house, even though Daniel and I had already decided we'd split holidays between families every other year. When I told her we'd be with Daniel's family this year, she cried on the phone and said I was choosing his family over my own. I reminded her gently that I am building my own family now, and that Daniel is my husband. She hung up on me. At that point, I decided I wasn't going to keep chasing her for approval. If she wants to sulk and play the victim, that's her choice. My siblings have actually backed me up more than I expected. Both of them admitted they saw how ridiculous she was at the wedding and told me not to give in. Now, 6 months out, here's where things stand. My mom and I talk maybe once a month. The conversations are surface level. She still hasn't apologized for anything. Daniel and I are stronger than ever, and we've agreed that we're going to set firm boundaries with her moving forward. My relationship with my siblings and in-laws has actually gotten stronger, because they saw firsthand how she behaved and they've been nothing but supportive. Honestly, I feel free. For the first time, I'm not bending over backwards to make my mom happy, and it feels incredible. I love her, but I've accepted that she's never going to change. She's always going to want to be the center of attention, and if I don't protect myself, she'll drain me emotionally. So yeah. That's the final update. The wedding went beautifully despite her drama. Daniel and I are happy, and my mom is still pouting in the background of her own life. And you know what? I'm finally okay with that. Stories number 32. Wibta, if I don't invite my brother's fiancée to my baby shower after what she said to me. I 31F am pregnant with my first baby. My brother 34M got engaged last month, and his fiancée and I don't exactly get along. At a family dinner, she joked that I was going to be a boring mom who loses her identity and lets herself go. Everyone laughed awkwardly, but it stung. Later she told me I shouldn't take things so seriously and that pregnant women are too sensitive. Now my baby shower is coming up, and I honestly don't want her there. I told my brother, and he says I'm being dramatic and punishing him for her personality. My mom says excluding her will cause drama, but I feel like I shouldn't have to play nice with someone who disrespects me at my own event. Wibta, if I don't invite her. Stories number 33. I walked out a restaurant that only had a QR code menu. I know it's dramatic, but I want the experience of holding a menu and having human conversations about food recommendations. This has happened 3 times in the past few months and I'm starting to feel like I'm the crazy one. I'll sit down at a restaurant, ask for a menu and they hand me a plastic card with a QR code. I'll politely ask if they have physical menus and when they say no then I just leave. My friends think I'm being ridiculous, but there's something deeply depressing about going out to eat and immediately being forced to stare at my phone. I want to flip through pages, read descriptions at my own pace and ask the server what they recommend without feeling like I'm interrupting their efficiency. The whole experience feels so cold and transactional now. I went to dinner with my parents last week and watched them struggle with a QR menu for 15 minutes and getting frustrated with the website. It made me sad that restaurants are prioritizing cost cutting over making customers feel welcome. I know I'm probably fighting a losing battle and will eventually have to adapt, but for now I'm voting with my feet. There are still places that understand that dining out should feel different from ordering delivery at home. Stories number 34. Aita for not having over my friend's daughter who steals. My friend and I, both in our 40s, have daughters around the same age 10. We have been friends for 20 years, but the past few years our relationship has been strained due to our different political beliefs, parenting styles, and what I would call her paranoia. She once got mad at me for something I didn't do, but she assumed I did. She has told some of her close friends about her daughter's history of stealing. She has stolen quite a bit of money from several family members and shoplifted from a store, as recently as a month ago. Fast forward to a few days ago. I was having my friends over for a girls' night. My husband was taking my daughter to a movie. My friend texted to ask if she could bring her daughter. She said she could stay home with her older brother, but that they're not getting along. I asked my husband what he thought, since he lives here too. He asked if I could find a way to not have this girl at our house, basically unsupervised since the adults would be talking. I prefer to be honest, direct, not come up with a lie, so I texted my friend that my daughter would not be home, that we weren't comfortable having her daughter over given her history. I honestly expected her to reply, "I understand. Those are the consequences of her actions." She did not, and got very upset. She didn't come over, and I don't even know if we will continue to be friends. I asked my other friends what they thought when they arrived, if I was out of line. They said yes. They said kids make mistakes, I could have kept an eye on her, and is there anything she could have stolen that's worth the price of a friendship? What do you think, Aita for not letting her come over? Stories number 35. Aita for putting my foot down with my mother-in-law. So my husband and I have been together for 12 years and his family is extremely religious and I don't have an issue with that. We are Catholic, but his parents' mom to be exact are on another level. She goes to church 4 times a week, carry anointing oil with them, believe any priest on YouTube, push religion on me. I don't need 56,000 pictures of Jesus or Mary in home to believe in my faith. Now, when we have taken vacations and they stay with our dogs at our house, but every time she stays she puts oils on my doors, writes a holy math equation on the door with crayon, and puts rock salt in every corner of the Windows house. She says it's all holy by I have asked her to stop. I don't believe in all of that stuff. I'm good with holy water and a Bible. She comes and does it behind our backs, then when I tell my husband he confronts her and says she didn't do it. My husband and I have had arguments over this. Today I discovered oil in the shape of crosses in my daughter's room on the walls to where it was dripping on the baseboard and carpets. Aita for wanting to put our dogs in a dog hotel while on vacation and take her house key because she can't be respectful of our wishes. Stories number 36. Aita for asking my girlfriend 26F to take down her podcast episode after she shared private details about me 29M without telling me. Last week my girlfriend 26F launched her secret project she has been telling me 29M about for weeks. I found out what it was when a coworker sent me the link to a couple's podcast. I heard her talking about things I would not want to get out in public, like my sleep issues, my family drama, and even details of our sexual life. I felt exposed. I asked her to take the episode down or cut off some of the parts. She said I am trying to silence her voice. The worst part is she never asked for my permission or even told me she was planning to discuss our relationship publicly. She just assumed it was okay to share intimate details about my life with strangers on the internet. Now my coworkers, friends, and probably family will hear about stuff I've only told her in confidence. When I tried explaining how violated I felt, she got defensive and said this is her creative outlet and I should be supportive. But how am I supposed to support something that makes me feel like my privacy doesn't matter? She's essentially monetizing our relationship problems without my consent. I'm not trying to control what she does, but isn't there supposed to be some basic respect for your partner's boundaries? Cause I feel like she chose her podcast over our relationship and now I don't know if I can trust her with personal information anymore. Aita for asking her to take it down. Stories number 37. My girlfriend is upset that I don't post her on social media. Is this a red flag? So my girlfriend 26F and I 28M have been dating for about a year now. Things are good, we're happy, and I honestly don't have any complaints. The only issue is she's upset that I never post her on Instagram. To give context, I barely post at all. My last post before her was like 2020. I mostly use Instagram to watch reels and scroll, not really to share. She, on the other hand, posts frequently and always tags me in things. Recently she told me she feels like I'm hiding her or not proud to be with her because I don't claim her online. I tried explaining that I just don't really care about social media, but she said that's an excuse and that it would mean a lot if I'd make at least one post. I don't want her to feel insecure, but also, posting feels fake to me since I never do it. Men, would you post just for your partner's sake? Or is this a red flag dynamic where she's equating online validation to real-life affection? Stories number 38. I broke up with my BF for saying our future kid will be smarter, better, faster, stronger and cuter than my existing kids due to his superior genetics. My BF said our future kid will be smarter, better, faster, stronger and cuter than my existing kids due to his genetics, and it angers me so much. He says it's just science and genetics because their dad is a deadbeat drug addict. Now he's angry at me because I said their dad has never been at his full potential because he's always been a drug addict with no ambition. So my kids can become very athletic or academically gifted despite how their dad was because they're being raised differently and because of my genetics. Just because he never reached his full potential doesn't mean my kids won't. Now he's saying I'm glazing my kid's dad. I'm so angry that he would say this about my kids. I broke up with him and blocked him. It's extremely painful because he's my best friend, but what best friend would say such a thing? Am I overreacting?